Hello, konnichiwa, annyeonghaseyo, ni hao, hola, marhaba, namaste, privet, shalom, bonjour, hola, konbanwa, hallo, annyeonghaseyo, guten Tag, guten Tag. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Sehr gut. Sehr gut. Bachev. Salam. Salam. Hello. Chichwa. Nani? Kutai. Vodan Godet. Privet. Bonjour. Tu vas bien? Est-ce que tu vas bien? Bonjour à tous. Bonjour à tout le monde. Ciao. Slav. Salama. Bongo. Kia ora. Namaskara. There's so many languages. Hola. No, there's hola in like 5 different languages. Talofa. Dumela. Jambo. ¿Cómo está? Tashi Dalek. Merhaba. So Turkish I'm interested in. Merhaba. Vietnamese. Xin Chao. Bro, do you know why bad things happen with good people? That's a good question. Some people say there's like a Jewish thing about this. I'm not Jewish. But something like God puts the yoke on the strong ox to if you're gonna test people at different levels, the good person needs a bigger test. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Deep questions. Deep questions. Limo-san, how are you doing? Because sticks and rocks are only thrown on Mongo. Can you explain that for me? Sticks and rocks are only thrown on Mongo. That's a deep mystery. So I'm seeing if I stop a stream and then start a new one immediately, I don't think YouTube gives me the burst of people. Partly, I think you get... Oh, wait, we got a burst of people. Never mind. Hello, everyone. Bonjour. Konbanwa. Genki desu ka? Ni hao ma. Ciao. I don't know how to say that in Italian. Comment estás? Comment ça va? How do you say that in German? Sehr gut is very good. ですね。なんていうかな。わかんない。こんばんは。コメント気楽にどうぞ。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。Limo, where are you from? Limo sounds Spanish, but since she said the mango thing, I'm guessing Malaysia or something. こんばんは。日本語上手ですね。ありがとうございます。あいうえおさんは元気ですか？ India. Oh, India, nice. We're in India. I have a lot of Indian viewers, like people from... I kind of forget where in India they're from. There's one guy from the center middle area. Center middle. That's a dumb thing to say. It's kind of northern center area. Bihar. Okay, I'll look it up. Bihar. Nice pictures. Okay, this is. Oh, right. You're right by Nepal, huh? Nice. I really want to visit India. I love curry. I've got curry right here somewhere, but I think I have Thai curry. My computer's on top of. My computer is resting on top of good old Thai curry. Sponsor. Today's sponsor. なんていう今日の提供なんていうなんかドラマの終わりになんかあるでしょ今日の本日っていうかないか今日の提供なんかスポンサーのメッセージみたいな感じで今日のスポンサーとかあるでしょそういうなんか表現 Yes, I want to know the answer to your question. Yes, I do. I thought you said I thought that was the answer. Oh, I think the pasta's done. 皆さん、こんばんは。元気ですかよろしくお願いします。お、like とかありがとう。嬉しい。みんな元気みんな、今日何したのコメント気楽にどうぞ。Hello everyone, international people. Teach me your language, please. From the tree. From the tree. You speak in riddles. That's okay. I like riddles. この人謎を使ってコミュニケーションする人だ。謎を使って You speak in riddles. That's hard to translate. I don't know how to translate that correctly. 謎い。謎いですね。How's everybody today? 元気ですかこんばんは。Yay! Somebody subscribed! チャンネル登録ありがとう。してくれた人、嬉しいです。Can I teach you Bhojpuri? Do you know Hindi? ね、ちょっと待って。Hold on one second. मैं थोड़ी हिंदी समझता हूँ. How's that? मैं थोड़ी हिंदी समझता हूँ. Ameriki. There's Ameriki. I forget how to say I'm American. You can teach me anything, but if you know Hindi, I would slightly prefer that because I'm learning Hindi a bit. Still a beginner, but maybe समझता हूँ. Maybe समझता हूँ. What is B? 皆さんこんばんは。元気ですか你好。我会说一点点中文。Je peux parler français si vous pouvez parler français. Vas-y, vas-y. I mixed up the politeness a bit, switching between polite and in French, you either speak polite or you speak casual. In Japanese, you can kind of mix them. So my brain is confused. 皆さんこんばんは。元気ですかよろしくお願いします。コメント気楽にどうぞ。Maybe समझता हूँ. What is B? Are you saying you didn't really understand? Is that what you're saying? so much stuff. That's Hindi for I understand a little Hindi. こんばんは。チャンネル登録しました。ありがとう。嬉しいです。何カ国語を話してるんですか？さん、よろしくお願いします。まあ、英語と日本語とフランス語、基本的に。あと、中国語はちょっと話してる。スペイン語は大体わかる。イタリア語は大体読めるって感じかな。次は、ドイツ語。今、ドイツ語と韓国語とヒンディー語興味あるというか、ちょっと勉強して。で、なんか、フランス語と日本語いっぱい勉強したけど、これから、まあ、次の言語詳しくなりたいっていうより、いろんな言葉、ちょっと話せるようになりたいと思っています。なんか、そうですね。今、富山なんですけど、去年、東京に住んでて、例えば、新宿のゴールデン街とか行くと、結構いろんな国の人いるんじゃないですか。You can speak Chinese. 你好。你会说、你真的会说中文吗？で、なんか、そうだね。ゴールデン街、そこまで行ってないんですけど、いろんな国の人とちょっと喋れたらいいなと思って。中国語だったらちょっとだけ話せるね。うん。韓国語すごく喋れるようになりたいな。可愛い子いっぱいいるね。俺結婚してるけど。話せたらそれでいいや。話せたらいいなって。あと、ドイツ語、私、数学が好きなんですよ。好きっていうか、好きです。好きになった。で、なんかたまにドイツ語、なんか、ちゃんと、昔の数学、たまにちゃんと全部は翻訳されてないこともあります。ありがとう。ありがとう。しいたけさんは日本語だけですかね？英語とか言葉話せますか？Limo. Say something in Chinese, Limo. I'm gonna put the spaghetti in a bowl for starters. That's how we start. Only good things can come from that. コメント気楽にどうぞ。No, it's not even cooking. It's finished. But at this point, it's just pasta. What should I put on it? Ah, man. Put a can of fish and some tomatoes to start. I'm a little lazy to make like a proper pasta sauce. Yesterday I did. This probably looks disgusting, but it's not bad. Look at that. It's just the horse mackerel. Saba. It's all right. It's okay. We'll throw some of that down. 英語は少し聞き取れるくらいで、京都によく旅行行くのですが、その時に外国の方 と少し話したりできるくらいです。いいじゃないですか。この前、2日前ぐらい、富山の高岡市で歩いてるとき、なんか、フランス人がちょっと困ってて、まあ、見てさ、この人困ってるなっていうより、ただ、なんか、携帯を見ながら、なんか、ちょっと道とか調べた感じでした。で、まあ、この人、もしかしたらちょっと困ってるかもしれないと思って、で、なんか手伝おうとした方がいいかなと思って、Excuse me, are you okay? Do you need help finding the way? とかって言って、で、妻も一緒に行った。で、なんか、それ言ったら、なんかすぐ、なんかもう涙が出てた、その人。で、完全に困ってて、で、なんか、バス乗ろうとしてたけど、結構複雑だった。なんか、予約必要あったし、ちょっとね、ローカルの人でも、なんかちょっと複雑で困る人もいたらおかしくない感じで、まあ、手伝えてよかったなと思う。私もなんか日本で、一回、群馬の温泉あるんじゃないですか。その温泉に行った時、なんか日本人と一緒に行って、で、ホテル見つからなくて、で、ある旅館に聞いたら、その旅館の人が、あの、車に乗せてくれて、車で案内してくれて、なんか、車で10分ぐらいのところにまでドライブしてくれて、もうすごい、そういう経験いろいろあって、なんかすごく、こう、日本人が手伝ってくれて、なんかありがたいなと。まあ、今回は、私たちはフランス人手伝ったけど、まあ、なんていうね、みんなそうでいてほしいんだよね。困っている人、時間あったら、もう、手伝うと、いい世界になるように。富山は、えーっと、教会京都に比べて、まだまだ海外の旅行者の方に、嬉しいとは言えないですかね。うんうんうん、優しいかな。旅行者のはい。京都がちょっと冷たいということ東海ちょっと調べます。Bai is introducing himself in Japanese. Am I Bai? What is the BHAI? Is that you? 東海。東海。そうか、そうか。初めて見た、東海。うんうんうん。でも東京とかでも、ね、大体切ったら誰か手伝ってくれると思う。私前、新宿駅でそうしました。なんか、東京駅じゃない、新宿駅。新宿駅、かなり、なんだっけ、言葉が出てこない。なんか、携帯で調べない。今、携帯で配信してるから。vaccine。悔しい ?There's a word I'm looking for. 悔しいというより、なんだっけな。似てる言葉。あるな。都会はいろんな、外国語での案内がたくさんあります。富山はまだそこまで行ってないと思いますね。そうですね。どこ行っても、日本のどこ行っても、こ大体の人はちょっと英語、ちょっとだけ英語を話せるけど、大体の人多分わからない。うまく説明できない人多いと思う。まあ別に悪いことじゃないです。で、まあでも、それでも案内してくれる人が多いと思います。例えば、電車探してるとき、その電車まで一緒に歩いてくれる人とか、そういう場合は多いと思う。まあ私の場合は日本語喋れるから、まあそういう問題がないんですけど、そうですね。日本に来る前にもうちょっと日本語喋れたから、そういう経験はあまりないですね。でもなんとなく、なんとなく。By means bro. Oh, okay. Is that what you said earlier when you said me by samach dihon or something like that? Tomato, yay. Tomato, fish, pasta, and probably some hot sauce. I'm probably good to go. It's probably enough. B means I also. Okay. I see. So you're saying I also understand. なるほど。なるほど。ってなんかヒンディー語で習ったけど、忘れた。ヒンディー語で少しはトリトリ。ってことは少しヒンディー語わかるって言ったら、め、トリトリヒンディーそのたふん。トリトリヒンディーそのたふん。なんか可愛いと思った。トリトリ。あまり喋れないことを恥ずかしいと思って、なかなか話しかけられなかったりですね。そうですね。話しかけれなかったり。かけれなかったり。私も困っている方に話しかけるのにとっても勇気がいりました。あ、いいですね。いいことですね。あ、ニワトリチキン。Hello again. こんにちは。また会いましたね。Yes. Yay. Penguin is back. Welcome back. そうですね。まあ、困ってる人いたら、まあ、その人誰かに聞くだろうが、普通は。でも、助け合える世界になると嬉しいですね。そうですね。うん。そうですね。まあ、そういう困ってる人、話しかけられると怖い場合もあるかもね。まあ、でもその時、私、妻と一緒にいて、怖がってないと思う、そのフランス人。なんか、可愛い女の子だった。多分20歳ぐらいかな。そのぐらい。いや。皆さん、こんばんは。元気ですか？コメント気楽にどうぞ。よろしくお願いします。 I'll just say that every once in a while because there's a lot of people just come in for a brief moment. Say kaisan baho. I don't know if I should say things that when I don't know what they mean. What does that mean? Let's have some music. That means how are you? Is that Hindi or what is that? Huh. Kaisan baho. Oh, okay. Bhojpuri? So is that your local language where you are? In Bihar. Hmm. This is very bland. Of course, I only put pasta, fish, and tomato. Very bland. Aji nai. Aji wa aru kedo, amasa tarinai na. Amasa tarinai. I'm gonna use these. This one's nice. And this one's nice. Honestly, I don't listen to any Indian songs. I don't think. All I can remember is that movie Slumdog Millionaire. Do you know? You probably know that movie, right? There's some songs there. It's hard to get interested in that kind of music when you don't know what they're saying, I think. Tomato pasta. Tomato pasta. そう。すごく簡単の。キュッピ使おうとしてるけど。もう、終わっちゃっとる。じゃあ、キュッピー please. Squeezing mayonnaise. いや、すごく適当なポスタです。すごく適当。あ。Big dogs? Is that Indian? No, I haven't heard. I haven't heard Big Dogs. Is it good? I'll check it out later. If I remember. We have this stuff. This stuff is. I don't know if it's good for you or bad. It's probably bad for you. Like all things that taste amazing. This is so good. I actually had this in Taiwan too when I lived there. That's when I started eating it. Not in Hindi. Oh, okay. Big dogs. That's in English. Okay. I'm more likely to be interested in that then. There's this really interesting Malaysian music I was listening to the other day. I forget what it's called. It has a funny name. Really famous. We'll see. So far, it's been really bland. But this, なんていう、ラー油なんだけど、なんか、なんて言えばいいかよくわかんない。だって、これしか書いてないじゃん。ラー油、少し辛くない。うまそうで、って書いてある。ラー油少し辛くない。うまそうで。 というホットソースなのなんと言えばわかんないんですけど。よくわかんないです。けど、美味しい。名前が長いソース。辛くないラー油。食べるラー油と言われてるやつ。OK。食べるラー油とか、辛くないラー油。なんか、それでも、知らない人、それ聞いたら、はってなるでしょ。食べるラー油食べるラー油そうか。それで、わかるか。食べるラー油。うん。I show speed. I think I show speed is quite talented. He's actually a pretty talented athlete. I think his content is probably talented. Usually, anybody who's famous, they have some kind of talent. I mean, like, even if that talent sometimes can be some kind of gimmick or like cheap, silly thing, but that's still a talent. 意味がわかりませんよね。そうだね。食べるラー油。食べるラー油。まあ、他にないだろう。と思うけど。それでわかるか。辛くないラー油って言ったら、知らない人は知らない。まあ、知らない人は知らないわ。何でもそうなんだけど。でも、それだけ調べたら出てくるかな。辛くないラー油。I don't know anything about him showing his ... My Japan, my Ratu? Hello, Song and Wind. にはお、こんばんは。元気ですか？ Hello ですね。You speak English very good. How would you say it? You know English. You know English は very good? 王さんのことを何と呼べばいいですか？私のこと。UV って呼ばれています。まあ、本当スティーブンなんだけど、スティーブン、まあでもスティーブンって言ったら、みんなわかんないかもしれないから、まあ UV、どっちでもいいです。I am very good English. very good. me も very good English 喋る。Can you speak in Indian accent? Yeah, probably. I don't know if I should. People will be like, he's so racist, even though I just did the like hardcore, like extremely broken Japanese English. 主、あなたのこと、OK。主ね。主さん。OK。まあ、UB をこう、入れるのがめんどくさいかな。日本語で書いていって、アルファベット入れるのがちょっとめんどいかな。Yes, I am live in Japan. Yes. Very, very live in Japan. And you? Song and Window さん。OK、大丈夫。よかった。しいたけ大好き。 一回、なんか栽培キットで、育ったことある？日本語合ってるかな？育つかな？作ったことあります。キットで。めっちゃ美味しかった。キットで作るのが、もう、超美味しい。すぐ、まあ、一週間ぐらいでできる。キットだと。まあ、本当まあ、最初から作ったら一年かかるけど、育ってたんです。うん。もう山とかに住んだら、なんか普通にやりたいな。なんか、なんていう、ログからログかわかんないけど、っていうかわかんないけど、木でやりたいな。育てたい。Bro, what is you look like? 16? I'm not 16. I'm 37. I've been in Japan 13 years. Yes, yes. How about you, Song and Wind? How long have you been in Japan? The guy the other day said I'm starting to bald, which it's kind of been like this for a long time. Like even since I was a teenager, I think it's been like this. But I'm gonna ask because I'm seeing a dermatologist in a couple weeks, and I will ask because I think probably I don't know if I'm gonna bald like that. Tom Hanks, I guess. Uncle. Yep, I'm uncle. This is not bad with the taberu rayu. This pasta is okay. Mm. I very like Japanese food. Yes, very much. 日本食大好き。日本の食べ物が大好きです。そうです。ソングウィンドさんは日本語を勉強してますか？日本語を勉強してますか？In Japan, sometimes if you're a foreigner, they talk to you slowly like that, but they're being nice. You have to remember they're being nice because as an American, it sounds like they're talking to me like I'm an idiot. Oh well. Gotta remember their intentions, you know? If I were in a terrible mood and somebody talked to me all slow and like using like instead of saying like politely, would you like a bag with your purchase or whatever? If they like take a bag and point at it and say like bag, if I were in a terrible mood, I'd be annoyed. I might be like, please speak to me normally. But that particular example has never happened. One time I got angry because what they were saying didn't make sense. Like I ordered food in Japanese once. This was after I'd been in Japan probably a few years. Like my my Japanese was fine, good enough anyway, but I ordered food and then she just said to me like, "No." I was like, "What?" And then she's like, "Drink." I'm like, "What?" And she wanted to say that I needed to order a drink also. But all she said to me was, "No, drink." And so I was just like in Japanese, I'm like, speak to me in Japanese normally, please. What the heck? Anyway. Oh, really? Can you eat what's Japanese say natto? Yeah. I like natto. It's good. I've set a goal to achieve 1 million subs in 5 months. Good luck. Yep. My goal, let's see how many subs. I have 196 subs. I already got plus 5 subs today. That's great. My goal is to get to 200 subs sometime in the next 6 months. That's my goal. I know you're playing Song and Wind. That's all good. Yeah, that's all good. Where are you from, Song and Wind? Song and Wind, does that mean you like Game of Thrones? Is that a Game of Thrones reference? Forgot my tissues. Oh. No, I studied with a famous classical. Okay, that's cool. Well, what do you play? I play piano and guitar and drums. Sometimes I make music on the computer also. Sometimes I do some piano streams. It's a little complicated with getting the audio to be nice, but I'm working on it. I should try to do ultra low latency streams. Flute, nice. I actually bought a flute. Hold on. I have a flute, which I bought at some point. But all I do, yeah, really terrible. But I have experience learning musical instruments. I'll just occasionally practice. I have a piano here actually. I used to play alto and tenor sax. That sounds nice. I'd love to be able to play sax one day. The embouchure, I'm not sure what embouchure is like hard, but it was hard on something. Can you ask a question? Yeah. Translated for Roland. Oh, really? What languages are you? What is your target and source? What are the target and source languages? Oh, I mean, this is not a brand. It's some cheap thing from China, and I'm just working on being able to blow into the mouthpiece, right? I'm not still not good at that, so just that's it. And I mean, I know how to like make like 2 or 3 notes. I don't know if I'll get serious about it. I have other priorities right now, but maybe I will. Oh, it got muted because somebody was trying to call me, but I didn't answer. UV フルート。いや、なんかできないですよ。買ったんですけど、まあ、ピアノとか、ギターとかドラムズは弾けるんですけどね。Why? Oh, okay. Wow. Are you Japanese? You will not say black until the stream end. I don't know what you mean. Don't blow into it. Hold your hand up and blow against your hand a few times. Against my hand. I mean, like that. I don't know how to do it. Maybe I'll take a lesson someday, but not right now. Create a straight airstream out like this. Don't get caught up with the blowhole. Okay, so I can blow against my hand, but what's the next step after that? Right. At some point, I have to blow on the flute thing. Tell me how many colors are there? There's 3 in the American flag: red, white, and blue. In Indian flag, there's orange, white, and green, is it? So I should, so what you're saying is I should, before I even blow onto this thing, I should master blowing on my hand first, which if I were taking lessons, I wouldn't be surprised. So you get used to doing that. Okay. Yeah, but I don't have a teacher, so I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna take some time. The 3 colors are red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. That's easy. Same as the French flag. Red, white, and blue. I'm guessing the French, I don't know. I think the French flag was after, but I'm not 100%. Obviously, America became America before France did, but before France became the La République de France. But you said white, yes. Red, white, and blue. Because it's easy to produce products when they're outside of our body. That's very deep. Easy to produce products when they are outside of our body. Trying to understand. That's a very general statement. My large intestines disagrees. I didn't say black. If you think in terms of just the head joint, then there's a danger that you'll play by pressure rather than with wind, with like blowing with air. Well, before when I was practicing more, I would blow on this for a bit, and then I would attach it to the flute and try to play a note or 2 or 3. Is that about? Oh, okay. Most players are playing incorrectly. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to be one of the people who play incorrectly, I think, unfortunately. But I mean, like Jethro Tull, that makes me wish I could play flute. If not for Jethro Tull, and I'm not a huge Jethro Tull guy, but it's impressive. If not for them, I don't think I would have bought a flute. Left-hand notes. Oh, just like the first 2 or 3 notes that you play. Like, I don't even remember now because I'd have to look up. But what? How does this thing go? Yeah, these parts, right? It's just a couple of notes you can play on here. Aqualung. Yeah, Jethro Tull is cool, huh? I agree. So you're playing classical. That's cool. And you're very bilingual, huh? So I'm confused. Are you from Japan? Okay. So, would it be a good exercise to hold on? I've never done this before, but this works the same way, right? I mean, that's such an easy exercise. I can't possibly. Is that really gonna help? Blow past the blowhole. So you're saying I should like blow straight. So like instead of blowing like down into the hole, I should like really try to blow straight. Like I can't do it. I don't know. Is that what you're saying? So New York, that's cool. Or there's a shadow behind me. That's what's behind me. In Tokyo for 7 years? Nice, nice, nice. Blow straight to get started. Okay. Yeah, because I am trying my lips are moving and I'm trying to blow like down into it. I don't know. I'll try things and I'll watch some YouTube videos and I'll try to learn. My wife is not here. She's not in this house. You don't blow down into the hole. Basically, the sharp edge on the other side slices the airstream. Okay. Okay. Oh, I got a free flute lesson today. This is unexpected. Thank you. Happy about that. I was in New York for a few months. I was thinking of living there because my girlfriend at the time was there. That was actually right before I came to Japan. So, but kind of that was a really nice girl, but we had some issues, so decided to break up. And I was planning to come to Japan anyway. So New York was expensive, but I was making good money at the time. Not anymore. Now I'm eating pasta with. When I was in New York, I was making good money. I'm in Japan eating pasta with mackerel on it. But I'm happy though. And that's what gets the air column inside the food vibrating. Okay, makes sense. It's not a brand. I bought it for like $100 on Amazon, made in China. I don't know. Yeah. Uh, there's a case somewhere has a name written on it, I imagine, but I don't remember. I'm sorry. Pasta is good. Yeah, saving money is good. Money saved is money earned, right? So I don't need a lot to be happy, to be honest. Yeah, just have to make sure that the pads cover the pads. Oh, the pads are these little things, right? Oh, okay. Chinese flutes leak. Interesting. Yeah, I'll try to find out more about it. Under the keys. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'll check out more about it. Flute is a really nice instrument. I've tried a lot of different instruments. Like I said, I play piano, drums, guitar. Um, I played clarinet for a little bit, but it was so long ago I forgot. ユビ、私もご飯食べてきます。楽しかった。またね。OK、ありがとう。バイバイ。じゃあね。またね。Otherwise, you could be playing fine technique wise, but won't get a decent sound because of the leaks. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely just learn the basics and then I'll learn more about maybe get a better flute if I'm serious about it. I think yeah, just learning that the basic technique of how to blow and learning the notes. That's a good start. I mean, I play some jazz piano, so if I could figure out the notes on the flute, I could do a lot, I think, because I have the ability to improvise and play around. So I want to take advantage of that. I really enjoyed when I was in France, my friend had a clarinet that I enjoyed playing. It was made of wood, and I've tried a couple times. That was the only time I was sort of getting okay at the clarinet, and I bought a clarinet that's made out of metal, and the clarinet's hard because it makes this crazy screeching noise if you mess up, and that's just tough. One time my student bought a Chinese flute, and there were literally a piece of carpet under the keys. Jeez. Yep. Yeah. Gotta be careful. Got to be careful. Yeah, it'd be great to be good at flutes. That will take some time. Got a lot of things on my plate right now, even though I'm not working. Still pretty busy, which is good. I like it that way. When I'm out of energy, I can stream, build a YouTube channel slowly, play some video games, stream it. 42. Wow. That's a good number. That's great. I'm 37, so basically elementary school I started learning drums, middle school started learning guitar, high school started learning piano. So I was a bit late uh with piano. I went to a music school for a while, and I was the only piano player who could improvise. So everybody, even though my guitar and my piano were probably roughly equal ability levels, everybody viewed me as a piano player. So no, 52. Nice. Yeah, everyone viewed me as a piano player. So are you doing translation mainly, or are you doing other stuff? Or that's impressive that you translated those manuals. Translation between Japanese and English is really real tough, I think. I did French translation a bit. That was much smoother. Lima was 13. Okay. A youngin. Always had a hard time with improv. Yeah, I think, and I'm weak in reading music. Like, I'm trying to improve that. These are different skills. Reading music or improvising. Almost all the people I know who improvise music aren't really reading music, unless it's just like, unless they're reading chords. I'm sure there are definitely are people that can do both well, but I still haven't met anyone who is really good at reading music and really good at improvising. I've been doing Japanese to English translation full time. Wow, 20 years. It's tough, isn't it? I guess you get used to it at some point. Thing is, like, the platform I'm using is you get all kinds of random jobs. And at one point, there was a time when they had all these French jobs coming in that were everything was fashion related, because it was translating for a platform where people sell clothes, like an eBay just for clothes. And so everything was fashion. And at first I saw all these jobs coming in, but I'm like, I don't know anything about fashion. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But there's so many jobs coming in. And eventually I said, well, I'll try it. And it was really hard. But because it was so focused, after, a couple months of just doing that, basically full time, even though like the first week was really slow, you just kind of pick and choose what jobs you want to do. And then, but after like 2 months, it became really efficient. But my problem is all the Japanese translation I've done so far, um, And I started doing it like 10 years ago, and just very rarely I sometimes do it. Um, but it's all just been random stuff, contracts or copy or just any random thing, business emails. Most of my friends are jazz players. Wow. Translation brutal. Yeah. Japanese and English is brutal. It's tough. It's really tough. I do programming as well, and translating Japanese into English is works my brain a lot more in the programming. Programming, I guess most people would say, is tough. It can be, but yeah, translating is tough. There's someone on Reddit who was saying they do only contracts, only translating contracts, Japanese to English. They were saying they make six figures. They make like $10,000 a month. I wish I could do that. Wish I could do that. I did a variety of stuff. I was also working as a translator in-house at a tech company in Tokyo. Oh, nice. Yeah. And if you could focus on contracts, typically it's the same stuff over and over and over again. So I feel like it would be hard at first. And then you can also a lot of the contract stuff have the English equivalents out there. I mainly do corporate reports for multinationals. Okay, nice. That's some heavy duty stuff. I'm just a little tamago, but I don't want to have it. I don't want it to be my career. Um, it's hard work, translation. I have a lot of respect for that. Ton of contracts. Yeah, yeah. I did some contracts. It's like it's it's definitely not easy, but there's something about it that I kind of prefer. You just get in the zone. It's sort of very methodical. As you said, a lot of the terms are the same. Yeah. Sustainability reports. Okay. hmm Yeah. Used to be CSR, but they changed it to sustainability. Okay, I don't know CSR. I know the SDGs. Is that's probably an international thing, right? SDGs. They're crazy about that over here. Sustainable Development Goals. All these buzzwords. They just let the memes flow in. But that's how language works. SDGs is a UN thing. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I think that only started appearing everywhere in Japan a few years ago, or maybe I just wasn't noticing before. The hardest thing about translation is all the research. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. Definitely, it's tough. Sometimes you have to ask because English has more context, so sometimes you have to ask for more information to the client. And I was doing it on a platform. Do you have any recommendations of platforms? So I use Gengo, which I don't know if you've heard of Gengo, but that's one of them. That's the only one I've used actually. When clients have used wrong terms, but you have to match them anyway. That's a tricky point. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes the original text has mistakes, or what they're saying is just illogical. It's like, do you correct? No, you shouldn't correct the logic generally, but mistakes are a bit of a tricky situation. Like, do you tell them? I think it was probably muted right now because somebody was calling me. You can't ask. That's really tough. So Gengo, the pay is not very good, but you can ask. Now, sometimes you don't necessarily have time, but well, you can always message them. See, like you can always work it out. Like you can, if the job is running out of time, you can uh, send them a question and then submit your translation, and if it needs edits, you can do it again later. But then we have the third party proofreader who blames me for everything. Okay. Yeah, if you cannot communicate with the client directly to ask questions, that's going to be impossible sometimes, for sure. Sometimes it's even like just the gender of people, like they don't necessarily always say it in Japanese, but then you need it in English. There's so much context sometimes, or sometimes it's just you need the direct object sometimes in a sentence where you don't need it in Japanese. So you have to ask them some weird question about like, what were you doing this to though? It's basically a game that, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Translation, especially. So, like I said, I used to do French to English. That was usually okay, but Japanese to English is much, much harder. And yeah, it, you have impossible situations. You just cannot translate correctly. And you have to figure out what do you do in this situation where it cannot be translated, actually. Actually, this is just things that you just can't translate, actually. Once to communicate directly with, only the project managers. I see. So you have to do a game of telephone. That's the 20 years I was only on the phone once with the project. Whoa, that's so surprising to me. So is this one company you've been working with this whole time? I'm just really surprised by that. Many situations like that. Yeah. That's like that's the real job to me. Like especially now because you have machine translation, maybe 80 or 90% is kind of straightforward. But then you just have things that cannot be translated. And it's like, okay, what do we do in this impossible situation? I've been with a bunch, but some are better than others. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I've only done the one platform. I don't even know how to find more work if I wanted to on that. Most of it is not straightforward. Right. Yeah, imagine those what you're doing sounds hard. Big multinational corporations, their reports. I used to do some stock stuff, so I used to read a lot of yearly annual reports and that stuff. I like that stuff. All you can do is look for agencies and do trials when they're looking for people. I see. Are those agencies, are most of them based in Japan or America, or is it just mixed? Nikkei? No, I used to trade stocks actually. Yeah. But I was afraid I was doing well, but I was afraid of wasting time because you could do well for 10 years and then have a terrible year. And for that reason, I decided to switch more towards programming. So, like 10, 12 years ago, I sort of switched. Um, yeah. I've worked for ones in the US and Europe too, but most of it comes from Japan. Okay. But so it's always remote though, right? That's a nice thing, right? Always remote. You can kind of imagine you can kind of set your own schedule, right? It's hard. I dabbled in S&P minis. I don't actually know what that is. I know SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. Is that like a smaller version of SPY? Yes, I was in-house for about 6 months. Okay. Oh, futures. Oh, wow. Okay. No, I never did futures. Um, I did options a little bit, though I probably shouldn't have been. I was interested. I made a lot of money on options, but that's just because I bought like long-term calls on Apple, so it wasn't like any kind of brilliant options strategy. Smaller futures contract. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, just buying stocks, individual stocks, is going to be a lot easier than trying to mess around with futures or options. A lot of people tend to go into like um, forex, but I always tell them stocks are simpler. You just need to. I mean, studying the overall economy is complicated, but you can focus on individual companies. Whereas if you're doing forex, that's very complicated, actually, in my opinion. Most people are probably just doing technicals, but forex, okay, yeah, yeah. I view forex as something people should do if they have a lot of experience in financial markets already. Because well, again, some people are doing just technicals, which is not my style. I'm more of a fundamentals guy. But the fundamentals for the currency exchange markets are complicated. So what are we talking about? We're talking about trading in financial markets, like stocks and that kind of stuff. I was trading futures when a live broker was needed. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I started around 2005, 2004, 2005, I think. So that, I was trading on the internet. I didn't need an actual broker. I was more investing than trading, and more about fundamentals. I think the first stock that I really thought was going to be good, I bought it, and then I watched it every single day, right? Like, oh, it's got to go up, right? It's got to go up. And like I think I sold it like 2 weeks later because I'm like, it's not going up. I must have been wrong. And if I had waited 6 months, I would have made like 50%. So I was like, oh, okay, if you have a reason to own a stock for fundamental reasons, then it's going to take some time. The market doesn't, things don't happen in the market overnight, usually with fundamentals. And now that I know more, I mean, you only get the earnings announcements 4 times a year. So in between those, for most companies, there's not a lot going on. I mean, even with Apple, people get it totally wrong sometimes with earnings. Like they have the whisper numbers and all that. There's so many rumors about Apple stock, and you think being such a huge company that they'd usually be right, but they're wrong sometimes. So that tells you a lot. Before the internet, yeah, the waiting game can be painful. Yep, but I think it's really important to not check every day, right? And I do the same thing, like with YouTube, even to check the analytics constantly is silly, right? And I would rather that I could hide my subscriber count from myself. Just exactly, to me, it's the exact same thing as like if I bought a stock, I'm not going to check it every day because ultimately, with a stock, you're investing in a company. So if I invested with my friend, I wouldn't be asking him every day how the business is going. Like I would check back a few months later, 6 months later, something like that. And if you're at work, sometimes like you don't want to check the clock constantly. To me, it's the same kind of thing. Don't, you can focus your mental energy on the wrong things sometimes. Bro, how much did you earn this month? I don't do stocks anymore. I made a lot of money back then, and I don't make much now. But there's more to life than that stuff. Um, Definitely on YouTube. not making money. You have to get at least 1,000 subscribers before you can make any money on YouTube. And some Amazon stock in the late 90s, but sold. Yeah. Amazon was a stock that I was wrong about. I know I didn't short it or anything, but I think I bought it right when I started out trading, and then I looked and I'm like, wait a second, back then Amazon doesn't make any money, right? And for many years, Amazon was a stock that didn't make any money. But that was their strategy, was to keep prices as low as possible to grow as big as possible. And so I wasn't telling people that Amazon is going to be bad, but that's not a stock that I understood back then. And it's hard to, from my point of view, the only way you could hold Amazon in the early 2000s, it's hard to figure out. Basically, you're only doing that because like everybody uses Amazon, right? That would be like your only reason. Because when you look at the financials of the company back then, they weren't making any money. They were losing money. So as far as stocks are kind of a game of numbers, it's kind of tough to hold on to it like that. Right. In the 90s. Yeah. And I think it probably crashed a bit in 2000, right? During the dot-com bubble, but then came back, which a lot of is the story for most of the companies, dot-com companies back then. They said that in order for the market cap to make any sense, we would need bookstores on several planets. Well, okay. When it was just so, but to be fair, like hindsight is 2020. Probably in the like 1999, Amazon was overvalued for what it was at the time. Now we can say, obviously, like in the dot-com bubble, there were mainly like 5 or 6 stocks that were going to be okay, right? You had to weed out 99% of the stocks were garbage, so you had to weed it out. Yeah, so I didn't even bother looking at any stocks after the bubble. And then Google, I don't know when Google IPO'd. Let's see that. When was the Google IPO? 2004. Yeah, so that was well after the bubble. Um, I I hate Google, but I did I did own their stock for some years and made a ton of money with Google, Apple, that kind of stuff. Um, yes, had no idea that it was going to be in everything online store. Yeah, yeah. Let me look up the stock price with Amazon because I think it might have been okay to buy in the early 2000s after the bubble, of course. Well, I said something silly. Obviously, it was good to buy, but what I mean is, I'm just curious if it went down a lot in 2000. So then you can kind of justify that it was a sell in the late 90s, right? Let's see if we can get the max chart here on the computer. It's shocking when Google surpassed Yahoo. Well, to me, I much preferred Google, right? On the Yahoo page, there's so much information. And so I grew up thinking Google's way better, personally. But it is shocking that Google was just doing one thing, basically. And once they started, once AdSense, they had the ball rolling with AdSense, then things really took off. And I don't remember exactly. I'll Google that too. When did they start AdSense? Because that's what made them, and probably still makes some crazy amounts of money. So AdSense was created by Google in 2003, but it says it was okay, 2003. Yeah. So by the time they IPO'd, I'm not sure. But I think definitely by 2007 they were they were making a ton of revenue and earnings because I owned them back then. But I don't know for the IPO 2004, that kind of stuff. If I'd held, it would have been worth 3 million a few years ago. Yahoo was basically the only option, maybe so. Yeah, I don't remember the bubble, the dot-com bubble, since I started in roughly 2004, 2005. Just trying to get the chart up for Amazon. 100x for Google. Yeah, Google was just growing so fast that investment wasn't was not matching the pace of the growth. It was, I recall it, the growth rate being, it was at least 80% per year, both for revenue and earnings. I think it was over 100% for a while. And that's pretty fast growth. So in my experience, I just think when I give people advice, and this is not advice, this is not financial advice, right? Okay. Got to be clear about that. But when I do give people advice, because sometimes people just want me to teach them some stuff. So I sit down, teach them a bunch of stuff, the basics, right? I teach them the basics, and then I say, well, if you can pay a reasonable price for a company that is growing really nicely, and that's how I made all the money I made back then, paying reasonable prices for companies that are growing very fast. And Google is an example of that. Oh, Amazon. Oh yeah. Yeah, Amazon is crazy. Yeah. Gosh. So let's see. I started in 2005. My goodness. It's like 200 times. I would have made almost 200x. That's insane. And the funny thing is, very early on, before I understood what a P/E ratio is, before I understood the financials, I remember I talked to a teacher. We had this exact conversation. Like he was saying to me, "Yeah, Amazon is the one stock that I will just buy and hold forever," because we were both just saying, "Yeah, Amazon's great. Amazon's got a great future." And then later, I studied the financials and was like, "Wait a second, they're not making money." No. But in the very beginning, I was like, "Yeah, Amazon, Amazon, Amazon." But that was, I don't know if I even bought it. I was still, I spent like 6 months just, researching and learning before I even started. Yeah. Yeah, it's about 200x since 2005. It's freaking crazy. 100x or 200x. Whoo. And let's see, going back to 2000. So with the stock splits and all that, 2000 peaked around $3.74 a share, of course, factoring in stock splits, and fell. What? Okay, the scale doesn't make sense. What the heck? My scale, there's obviously something wrong with. I'm using Yahoo Finance, but it's saying that the stock price was negative at some point. That doesn't make sense. They obviously have a bug. So trying to go back to compare prices back in 2000, 2001, and it's saying negative. So that, oh, wait. Oh, okay, it's because my cursor, it just says the price wherever your cursor is. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it fell a lot after the bubble. It fell. It's hard to say because the chart is so, but it definitely fell like more than 75% from peak to trough. So it would have been tough to invest back then, in the bubble years. But 2003, 2005, 2000. Then we had the Lehman shock, as they say in Japan, financial crisis. That was another tricky time for sure. Yeah, Google took over. Google is the page is much simpler and it loads up much faster than Yahoo. So that alone, like everybody originally thought you want a portal where people can go do as many different things as possible, right? That's what they thought during the dot-com bubble, I think. Maybe even into 2005 or so. But I think I even as I was like a kid back then, but I always preferred Google, right? It was faster to load up. Back when the internet was slow and it'd take a considerable amount of time to load. Um, and you'd get better results with Google. But in Japan, I came to Japan in 2011, late 2011, and people actually back then, Yahoo results in Japan were still better than Google, which was weird. I remember reading the Nikkei on the train coming back from the office around the Lehman shock. Yeah, 2008. Yeah, fall. The Lehman Brothers going bust was, I believe, fall 2008. But we had a bunch. Yeah, the whole subprime mortgage, all those problems already were happening in the spring. You had the Bear Stearns bailout. I think it was either spring or summer 2008. That was pretty notable at the time. Some drunk GG approached me and said, "Omae hen da yo," because I was reading in Japanese. Yeah, that's fine. That's not happened to me, but that's funny. Last year I was reading a math book on the train. No, that was in English. Sometimes I read math or physics in Japanese, but that was in English. I think he thought either he likes math or he thought that the pictures were interesting, which they were. He just asked me like what the thing was about, which I answered in English and Japanese. But he seemed like super embarrassed. I felt bad. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Yeah, those experiences are fun. Japan's fun. We had a couple of weird, funny uh, situations. Like I would never, when I spoke English with people, I always assumed that other people might understand. Like when there's Japanese people around, I never assumed that they couldn't understand. But sometimes, like other people do that, right? They just, especially, it's more the people who speak English and can't speak Japanese. They, in their brains, assume that the people around them can't speak English for whatever, or maybe they're just being careless. I don't know. But they would say things and not be sure. So we had a couple of stories. I can't really repeat them on YouTube, but they were saying some pretty raunchy, crazy stories, kind of assuming the people around didn't understand. And then you find out, then somebody speaks to you in fluent English. Kind of silly. Sometimes I would hold up okay, I forget that what I don't think it's pronounced Konken, but oh yeah, it is Konken, isn't it? Konken EQ textbook just to see the reactions. Yeah. Oh, you studied that? That's crazy. I mean, I took the I took the JLPT N1 and failed. Then I took the N2. I passed the N2 easily, but still need to pass the N1 if I can. Yeah, Kente, Konken. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't studied much. That's like for Japanese people, right? I haven't really studied that very much. That's good. So you're pretty serious, which is good. I was serious. Well, I studied seriously for like 4 years. 2 of those years was before I came to Japan, and then 2 years in Japan. Pakun. Pakun, is that you? Oh, the fish kanji. No. I mean, I can usually recognize Saba, Kujira. What else? I don't know. We got Saba right here, but no. Fish kanji is hard. Those aren't even like N1. They're something else, huh? Patrick Harlan, the Gaijin talent. If I see his face, maybe I know. Is this gonna be? There's one guy really. Yeah, I thought it would be this guy. I don't like this guy. What do you think of this guy? Pakun. That's this guy's name. Patrick Harlan. He's 53. He could be you. You said you're 53. Are you secretly? Did you say 53? Was it? Scrolling up in the chat here. I think you said. Oh, 52. You're 52. Okay. Pakun is 53. Yeah. Yeah, it's an act. Well, respect. He's successful. So, but he seems so narcissistic and kind of cringy sometimes because it's very fake. But maybe he's a nice guy. He's from Colorado. Yeah, graduated from Harvard. Huh. First came to Japan on a tour with the Harvard Glee Club. Is that Glee Club like I think it is? I guess so. Studied Japanese on his own and passed. It sounds like he passed N1 after 2 years. That's good. That's hard work. Respect. I've been here a long. I took the N1 after being here like 10 years and I failed. I have passed a N1 practice test once. That's all. But like most of that stuff, it's hard to get motivated for it for me. A lot of those words are pretty rare. Some of the words even are stuff that a lot of Japanese people don't know. So yeah, I find it hard to motivate myself, but I should actually lately I've been thinking of studying like I like studying more certain things, like study physics or study accounting or something specific rather than the N1. Just kind of gets tiring because there's like an infinite number of words you could study almost. I never really took Japanese that seriously as a musician, so it was a side interest. Okay. But you've been doing translation for 20 years. So that's solid. That's a career. That's your career. Right? Or was it a side thing? Sounds like it was your career. For example, they add some extra line to a rare kanji. hmm What do you mean by an extra? Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Done both. I was also playing and teaching in Tokyo. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was pretty motivated when I was learning stuff that's definitely useful, right? Like up through N2. Up through N2 is clearly useful. Once you get to N1, you need to be a masochist at some point. No, actually, okay. I signed up for the N1 test and I studied a month like nonstop. The thing is, I'd already been I had started studying Japanese like 12 years before that. So my Japanese wasn't going to improve that much even from doing a month of study nonstop. I don't think it improved very much. Although the thing is like before that I had studied maybe like 1500 kanji, and then the last 500 I was kind of lazy, which is not very good. It's good to study those, 2000, 2200 kanji, whatever. Um, at least so you can recognize them. And actually, so that was a few years ago. I studied for the N1, and it was helpful that I finally bit the bullet and studied the rest of the Joyo kanji. And I've noticed in my reading has definitely improved from that. So that's the benefit, but I still failed the test. Someone here in Oregon, some wife of a chushain, got all bent out of shape because I said one word to her in Japanese. Huh. A heisig is I'm not sure about heisig. Remember the kanji? Is that heisig? Yeah, remembering the kanji. Yeah, I have that book. Yeah. Chuzaijin. Chuzain. I don't know what chuzain is. I'm gonna look that up. Let's see. I have the dictionary here. Chuzain. A resident employee. I see. She got bent out of shape. Was she just surprised, or was she upset or something? Some people they probably get so used to people not speaking Japanese that it just like throws them off. Like I worked in a restaurant in Tokyo, and I you know I was much better at talking about the menu in Japanese than English. Like if somebody asked me questions in English about the menu, it was I had trouble, because it's talking about a menu. It was Korean food as well, so I didn't really know how to explain stuff in English. No amount of proficiency is going to change things. Huh. My son is a native speaker, but they refuse to speak in Japanese with him here as well. Huh. Okay. So if he were in Japan, he'd probably not have that problem, but interesting. Yeah. That would be like if somebody had hafu no kodomo here, and then I refused to speak to them in English if they were speaking to me in English. That would be extremely weird. Yeah, totally. From my experience, the better you get, the worse they act. Huh. Maybe so I've never interacted with Japanese people in America, actually. Never. So I have zero experience with that. Oh wait, the only time I've interacted with Japanese people in America has been at a couple of local Japanese restaurants at home, and they were normal. He was a sushi chef. Okay. My wife and son were talking for 45 minutes. He was listening the whole time. Uh-huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with Japanese in America. I don't even join their conversations because I don't want to intrude. Huh. Seems like you could. Actually, I speak with my wife in. I speak English and she speaks Japanese normally. And sometimes I speak in Japanese. I'd say I probably 80% I speak in English. If I'm telling a story or saying something complicated, I speak in English with her. But that's because she asked me to speak English with her. Girls I dated before her, I always spoke in Japanese with them. But yeah, she asked me to. So if we have a kid, that's supposed to be the way to go, I guess. Or a lot of people recommend it that the two parents speak their native languages, right? So then during dessert, he starts talking to my son in English, like broken English. Huh. I don't know. Maybe he's so used to English. Hmm. But you're in America, right? Or this was in Japan. Was this in America or Japan? In Nevada, huh? Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, his brain is not used to processing that. Of course, I imagine your son is biracial or whatever. So seeing someone who isn't like obviously Japanese, that for them to speak Japanese with them, their brain didn't process that. A weird thing is that when I see Asians who speak fluent English in person, not online or something, but in person, my brain has a reaction just because I've been here so long. And like the last time I was in America was like 7 years ago. Now that doesn't mean I would like that wouldn't affect how I interact with them. But just like my brain, your brain just gets used to whatever you're used to, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I grew up in California. There's nothing weird about an ethnically Asian person speaking English. But after being for years in Tokyo, then I'm like, whoa, whoa, that Asian looking person speaks English fluently. They're probably from California or something. But the brain is just full of associations. No, she speaks in Japanese. My wife speaks in Japanese. Dual national. I know I have Japanese sushi chef, and they won't speak in Japanese with him either. Huh, that's strange. Well, but if the half Japanese chef, if they're comfortable in English, if both parties are comfortable in English, then I don't see an issue. But like you said with the example with the person who speaks English like in a very like broken English, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Right. Mm. Yeah, the brain's just not used to it. It kind of sucks. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think in Japan it's not so much of an issue because well, it can still be an issue, but less often. Um, and it's kind of always going to be an issue, and it kind of sucks, but that's just like there's almost nothing we can do about it because people um there's all kinds of people out there. Some people like if I talk to an old lady in the street and she talks to me like I'm an idiot and she just says, no English or whatever, you know, there's all kinds of people out there. Some people are not smart. So it's always going to be that way. Do they still have that chain called Yatai Sushi? Yatai? I don't know Yatai Sushi. Yatai Sushi. Is that Kansai? If it's Kansai, then I don't necessarily. No, I've never seen it. Never seen it, but it looks like they still have it in Kyoto and other places. Oh. It says there's one in Hawaii. Hmm. There are times in Japan where people would use 10 words of English and then walk away. Wait, never. Hachioji. Okay. I don't remember seeing Yatai Sushi in Tokyo. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, if I'm in a bad mood, that kind of stuff will make me angry. I try to not let it affect me. When like something that happens a lot is where I'll speak in Japanese to the somebody at a store, like somebody at the register or whatever, and then they'll speak to my wife, and then I speak to them in Japanese, and then they speak to my right, like there's like this triangle. And like I said, if I'm in a bad mood, that stuff used to bother me more. And if I were in a terrible mood, I would probably like get angry. I haven't. The last time I got angry about that was like a good 10 years ago. I had spent the whole day like translating a manual for an app, and after like a lot of hard work, then I go and I'm speaking I'm doing my order in Japanese at the register, and like we're doing the triangle thing, and I got angry. But I from that experience I realized like that um it can make sense to get angry about that, but I have the right to. But why should I ruin my day over that, right? Their brain works the way it does, and it's not perfect. And I would prefer life is too short. I would prefer to not let that affect my day if possible. So that's how I view it now. It took about 15 minutes of nonstop talking while nursing and cleaning in order to get him to speak. Huh. Yeah, the third person treatment, right? Like it's so common. I think I had it yesterday, actually. A couple times, I think. I'm so used to it now. It's funny. It's like a triangle. One time I was in a restaurant with there was this Taiwanese girl. Like this was early on when I was in Japan, and we we never officially dated, but we were kind of like almost thinking about being boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing. And we'd go out to restaurants, and my Japanese was a bit considerably better than hers. And they would do the triangle thing talking to her, And then my Japanese was better, so it was very weird. Um, yeah, all the time, right? Yeah. Sometimes I held up my hand and said "imasu yo." Yeah, yeah. The thing that annoys me, and I get this is another thing that I try to not let bother me if possible, but like if you go sometimes to the staff and you ask them very politely some question, and they'll just say to you, "No." It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a little shocking because you're expecting polite Japanese and they just say, "No." Sometimes Japanese people use the just "no" a little too much. Comes off as quite rude sometimes. Yes, they do that when an Asian is around. It's like they have some anchor or something. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then I was with a Taiwanese girl one time. She was like kind of a work connection friend, and she was visiting Japan for a couple of days. And then that same thing would happen, but in her case, she didn't speak any Japanese, so I'd just be like, just like, この人台湾の人ですよ。日本語喋れないです。とか。I just explained the situation. It was easy from there, but they would start out. I would order in Japanese, then they speak to her, and she's like, no idea what she's saying. If I'm in a professional setting, then it never happens. It's if I'm Japanese, but outside of work, forget it. Okay, that's cool. I'm not good enough to do interpretation. That sounds intimidating. Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, I was in Taipei. I lived there twice, total of about a year and a half. I love Taiwan. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it can be a little dirty, but Taiwanese people are really nice. I was interested in Chinese as well. I don't do it now because there are no expos here in Oregon. Oh, Oregon, that's nice. Like my best American friend, my best American friend, my best friend in America. Um, you know, we grew up same elementary school, middle school, and high school, but he lives in Oregon now. We're from California. He's in Portland. Yeah, I don't. That's a good point. I don't remember any racism in Taiwan. Um, in a year and a half, people tried to rip me off twice, which is a fairly low rate. I would say in Japan, other than one guy who totally screwed me over, like not a scam. It wasn't a scam, but with some business dealings, kind of screwed me over. Other than that, like nobody tried to rip me off like in the streets, you know. Like for example, in Taiwan, one time somebody was hoping I was confused about the money, and they like intentionally not saying how much, they just held up like five, hoping I'd give them like 500 or something. I'm not sure. It was very weird. And then a taxi driver screwed with me one time as well. Summers are brutal, yeah. Yeah. I was working there at one point, and man, because you get these typhoons and then people they don't wear boots because you get so much water in your boots, so they just wear sandals, it's like you're going swimming basically. It's kind of fun. Yeah. I had problems with NT because at the time I think 1 USD was 27 NTD. Okay. Trying to remember what it was like. If I recall correctly, no, I can't remember. What is it now? NTD to USD. So let me do 100. 100 NTD is $3. Yeah, it's kind of confusing because my brain thinks in yen now more easily than dollars. Um, the ocean in Taiwan felt like swimming in soup. I didn't see the queen's head. I don't know what that is. What is that? But yeah, one time a taxi driver, I wanted to go to Dongmen. Dongmen is like where you have like Din Tai Fung, the original one, and it'd be like going to Ginza or something, like a well-known place. So I said that in Chinese and English. He pretended like he didn't understand, and he got a translator person on his radio. He had some kind of radio with an interpreter. So with the interpreter, I said where I wanted to go, again, Chinese and English. The interpreter was like, "Oh, you want to go to Dongmen?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to go to Dongmen." And the interpreter explains it to the taxi driver. It's like again, it's like going to Times Square or somewhere obvious. And he pretended like he didn't understand, and he drew me around for 20 minutes when it was just a quick 5-minute thing. So I just ditched him. I did not pay for that crap. He's obviously full of BS. Rock formation. Okay. Queen's head. Oh, I might have. Hold on. Let me see it. It sounded like something much more violent. No, actually, I've never seen that before. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's cool. I did not see it. Didn't know about that. I did not learn any Taiwan Hua, although I think people taught me a couple words maybe, but I was more focused on Mandarin, but honestly, I had to still prioritize my Japanese over Mandarin. So I never, yeah, Mandarin, it's pretty, like very basic level, but I think learning languages is pretty fun. So I'd like to improve my Chinese for sure. People speak Taiwan Hua with the taxi drivers, then they warm up to them fast, I bet. Especially if I could speak it fluently. And again, those were the only two times I had those kinds of issues. Whereas if you go to um, Southeast Asia, outside of Singapore, if you go to like, you know, Philippines or Thailand, you're gonna have a lot more people trying to rip you off all the time, which is super annoying. But Taiwan twice in a year and a half, and it was frankly really easy to, so obvious. Um, so it was okay. My ex-girlfriend couldn't. Her family members could though. Uh-huh. Do you meet any old people in Taiwan who are native in Japanese? I did not actually. I did not. Well, there were some people who I think could speak some Japanese, or the older people who knew some Japanese, but none of them. And I was there for about a year with my wife. Then she was a girlfriend, and so we'd speak in Japanese all the time, and nobody came up and just started speaking fluent Japanese or anything like that. But sometimes well, I mean, Japanese people visit there a lot, so it's not like wow, people speaking Japanese, you know. Um, so there's probably a lot of people who know it, but they didn't respond or anything. Um, my ex-girlfriend's grandmother was native. Oh, native Taiwanese. Uh-huh. Because of the schooling there at the time when it was Formosa. Right, right, right. Yeah. Used to be part of Japan, right? Before the end of the war. Which I guess They say that because Chiang Kai-shek was kind of a jerk, that the Japanese occupation in comparison for them was not as bad. Like they weren't as brutal as they were in other places. So they tend to like Japanese there, in my experience anyway. That's what I've been told. The buildings at Taida are all Japanese. Taida, okay. I'll Google that. Taida. Taida. Huh. I actually don't know Taida. Is that the university? Is that the okay, National Taiwan University. Okay, okay. I know the university. I didn't know it was called Taida. My father was stationed in Tainan for 18 months during Nam. Oh, wow. Taida is a national Taiwan. Okay. I see. So your father knew a lot about Taiwan. Cool. Is your so was your father a big influence in terms of you being interested in Asia? That was when we had an airbase within Taiwan. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have well actually no. So when I was in Taiwan, I didn't see anyone who seemed military. But after I left, wasn't there something where there were a bunch of US military guys in Taiwan? I forget. Not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of secret stuff going on, but it's nothing too overt, I don't think. Well, I heard many stories from him about Taiwan growing up, but I was always interested in Japan because of karate. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I wish I could do some martial arts. At the local community center here, they have Yawara, which I don't know if maybe Yawara's inferior to karate and all that. But yeah, if I had more time, well, I could be doing it right now probably, but so not having enough time is just an excuse. Yeah, yeah, it'd be nice to do it though. It's good exercise. Yeah, I'm in the countryside as you. Well, I don't know if you can exactly notice from the interior, but we're in the countryside here. Nihongo no kai? No, because it's very countryside here. They have a eigo something or other. It's not eikaiwa. It's something eigo kyoshitsu, but it's meant for like middle school kids, I think, something like that. I've never. Um, I think it'd be awkward if I were there because I'm a native speaker, so I'm gonna be. I wouldn't correct the teacher, but maybe after I would. But it's sort of awkward, isn't it? Because since it's not their native language, they typically make some mistakes. Living in the country is much better for speaking Japanese. No. I mean, I'm sure it depends. Like, so where I am in Toyama, people do not come up to me and talk to me out of the blue. Like that almost never happens. Whereas I've heard from other people, like in what's the place a little bit north of here? I gotta look at a map. Um, but anyway, you go a bit north of here, or you get a little more, I don't know, just depending on the place, or you go south, Kansai and all that place. Um, people will probably come up and talk to you more. But The other thing is like when I'm walking around, because I walk around a lot every day, but I'm usually thinking about something, and I probably don't look like I'm just like I probably don't look like somebody you would just come up to and start talking to because I'm like I'm deep in thought, and so I'm just like walking kind of fast and thinking. I don't know, but people never come up and talk to me. I think it's happened once in like 4 years. So, no, okay, probably it's happened twice in 4 years here in the countryside. Living in the okay, I heard that the sushi. Oh yeah, sushi is incredible here. Absolutely, way better than Tokyo. All the sushi I've had here is better than all the sushi I've had in Tokyo. North is Niigata. That's right. Yeah, I was thinking of a little bit. Hold on, a little bit north of that. I forget why. Or sorry, I totally should know the name. I'm just blanking right now on the place I'm trying to think about. Akita Prefecture. I've heard somebody was saying they live in the countryside in Akita, and people come up and talk to them all the time. So that is more I don't know if you'd say rural or it's more remote, right, than Toyama. I mean, Toyama is very remote compared to Tokyo, of course. But and I think if you go south, like Shikoku, those kinds of places, people in the south in general tend to be more, warm, I guess. But mother-in-law is from Shibata. Okay, I've heard of Shibata, but I'm not sure. I should know the map better than I do, to be honest. Shibata. Oh, that's in Niigata. Okay. I've actually never been to Niigata. I've been to Ishikawa, to Kanazawa a number of times. I've been to a number of places. Nagano, Gunma, Fukushima. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna my wife and I are gonna get driver's licenses soon. I've had my California driver's license forever, but I'm gonna do the whole process here in Japan, and we might travel around a bit. Kikusui, I don't know Kikusui sake. Toyama has sake called Tateyama, which is pretty good. We have the Tateyama Mountains, which are nice. I was only in Nagano, had no time to travel to any other places. Okay. But you said you lived in Hachioji. Hachioji is Tokyo, right? Yeah. 10,000. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I love sake of all kinds. I love whiskey, but also Nihonshu. Yeah, I love Nihonshu. Actually, I'm drinking shochu right now. I'm not sure if you're supposed to like. I don't think it's against the YouTube's I don't know, community guidelines. I don't think it's a big deal to be drinking, but I don't know. I don't trust YouTube, so I try to not like do like a compai or something. I try to not flaunt it too hard. Maybe if I know the rules better, I'd feel more open. But it's not exactly a secret though. Outside of Kanto, I've already. Oh, okay. I see. Hmm. Yeah. Um. Well, I mean, traveling Japan is really great. I've been to probably most of the major areas, minus a couple, but I'd like to travel a lot more. I'd like to visit Nagasaki because there's that area where they used to trade with the Dutch and all that. Sounds super interesting to me. So that's the next place I'd like to go to the most, I think. And I still haven't been to Hokkaido, so I gotta go to Hokkaido for sure. But I see those streamers from Tokyo going into the convenience and buying chuhais. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure. That one small island where they came during Edo. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That sounds really interesting to me. And there's just kind of a general, I've never been there, but I've heard there's a general Western influence there. Sounds interesting. Yeah. It was the Dutch, and was it maybe one other? I forget, but it was mainly the Dutch, right? Because they didn't try to convert Japan to Christianity very much, right? So, um, right. So they used to have Dutch studies, and sounds interesting. So I'd really like to visit there. Um, Kagoshima, they have the volcano. That sounds cool. I'd like to go there. There's somewhere. Oh, I haven't. Yeah, that's right. I've never been to Kobe. I really need to go there. And eventually, if I had enough time, I'd like to visit every prefecture. But that's quite that's a car trip for a month or two or something. Once I get my once I figure out my life a little bit better. How's Kyoto? Oh, I love Kyoto. Yeah, I really love Kyoto. Um, I love Kiyomizu-dera is one of the temples. I just like the whole ambiance, the feeling. That's a major thing for me in travel, with travel in general. Like, I'm less interested in the really touristy things, and I mainly enjoy just the overall feeling, the fact that everything's a little bit different. So you kind of just have that, the aesthetic, right? The aesthetic in Kyoto, the feeling, the ambiance. And nowadays there's a lot of tourists, I guess. I haven't been there. Last time I was there was before the pandemic, and I think after the pandemic there was a lot of like bottled up desire to for people to come to Japan. So we've had a lot of tourists coming in since the pandemic. So and Kyoto, I guess, has been having maybe too many tourists. 893. I'm gonna Google that. 893 Yakuza. No, no, not really. I don't think so. My landlord at one point in Tokyo said he has Yakuza friends because I moved there. I didn't know anything about that area when I moved there. I stayed there for a few months. It's I can't remember the name of it, but near Asakusa there is a area with a lot of brothels, and well, I forget what that place is called. But the landlord there, yeah, he said he had Yakuza friends, but he said like I asked him if they were kawaii, and he said no, no, zenzen kawakunai. So I'm sure it depends. Yoshiwara, yeah, yeah, yeah. Asking for a friend. That's the place, Yoshiwara. So I was living in that area, like a few streets away from like the main area, for a couple months or something. I was just like though back then I broke up. My girlfriend and I broke up, and we had been living together, so we moved out and just actually found the place on Airbnb. And then I was there for a couple months, and then I went to Taiwan. I heard that Kyoto has a unique but strict culture. Yeah. For example, if they ask you, "Otsu nomimasen ka?" It really means please leave soon. Yeah, people, that's the meme, but I guess there's a lot of truth to it, right? That's what Japanese people say as well. There's like a hidden subtext to a lot of things. So they're very dangerous. Well, compared to other countries, I mean, every time they kill somebody, it makes the news. And I don't think it even happens once a year, you know. So compared to other stuff happening in other countries, including America and everywhere, it's pretty safe, right? Even dealing with Yakuza. I mean, I've seen Yakuza people with the tattoos, and there's also the chinpara. There's a lot of chinpara, like the loser loser version, the weak loser Yakuza people, I guess. That's mean but true. Um, and yeah, they usually don't mess around with the gaijin too much. I was around a bunch of Yamaguchi gumi. Ah, okay. Not a good idea, personally. Yeah, yeah. Getting very anti-Japanese. Huh. I see. Yeah. Bosozoku. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Usually they're not gonna kill somebody, but they might attack you or something, I guess. Happens. I've never even heard of it happening to somebody, but obviously it does. But I remember, like, in the first few years in Japan, I used to go to the club sometimes, and one of the clubs, I think it was called Flower or something like that. Um, Actually, that one I had never been to, but the Yakuza went in there and beat somebody to death with like baseball bats and stuff like that, metal poles and stuff. And it was, the story is they actually killed the wrong person. But that was big on the news, you know. Um, and that was kind of interesting because that was in Roppongi, and I had been going to the club sometimes, so I was like, oh crap, that happened. Um, but these things happen, I want to say less than once a year, and you know, I mean, I'm not watching the news all the time, and I haven't checked the stats or anything, but it's pretty rare. Yeah, either nothing happens or someone ends up dead. Isn't like you are getting pushed hard into a locker. Yeah, yeah, it's rare. It's very rare. So, but our human brains, we focus on some of these things. Like we go swimming and we think of shark attacks, right? Which interestingly, lately there's been a dolphin attacking people. Um, and a guy almost died attacked by a dolphin just recently here in Japan. So maybe dolphins are even more dangerous than sharks. Well, that happens really rarely, right? That's really rare. But yeah, they think there's one dolphin going around attacking people right now. There's been like 15 attacks. A lot of them run the yatais during Hanami. Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes sense because the well, those are pretty profitable, I think, but like that's well suited to somebody who has like a weird employment situation, right? If you're a full ordinary salaryman, full-time worker, it's sort of a weird thing to do because it's only during the Matsuri. So I've wanted to do that. Sounds like a fun experience. I like these kind of weird, fun experience, weird things, you know. Like I went to this thing the other day, and apparently, well, I might do it. In February, there's like a 5-day internship at a you can do a 5-day internship at a place that processes recycled e-waste, I think. Not just e-waste, well, electronics. Breaks it down into copper, iron, plastic, glass, etc. So I like that kind of stuff. If I can try it for 5 days, I'd enjoy it. But I'd like to. My ideal situation is if I could make some money with YouTube and then do a bunch of random jobs for not like a full-time thing, but Um, even like work in a factory for a bit. I've even like working on a fishing boat for a bit. Once in my life, try random things like that. I don't know. Previous stock trader turned factory worker. So very in line with the SDGs. Yeah. I'm not huge on environmental stuff. I don't tend to care as much as most people do. Although, you know, the environment's important, but I'm interested in making things from scratch, although I have no history doing that. But I mean, I've studied a lot of physics, so engineering, uh, engineering and chemistry, that kind of stuff is something I'm probably going to study more. And it's been kind of a long-term plan. Get more into like the maker side of things. So it's hard to get started working with raw materials and trying to build things. I know that's very vague, but I guess like a maker is kind of a hobby type thing, right? Actually, the thing I went to the other day was all about that stuff. Crafts, I guess. So there's people working with glass, a lot of people working with bronze, doing all kinds of things, and all of these sort of traditional things, they don't have enough young people going into them. So it might be interesting to, if I learned stuff like that, and maybe do some stuff with YouTube about that. Like glass blowing, working with glass sounds really interesting to me. I heard that fishing is brutal. Yeah, I've heard that too. But I think it depends a lot. All of it's probably a bit brutal, but I heard that there's one, they get paid like six figures. They make a lot of money, but there's like 12 hours at a time where they're just like loading, was it ice, I think? And you're just like, or actually, it might have been like 20 hours actually, because when they dock, they want to get things done as quickly as possible. So it's just like 20 hours of just like lifting ice is what I've been told, and that would suck for sure. That would really suck. So I'd rather not do that, but there's easier ones that get paid less, where like you're out for a few days or something. I don't know exactly, to be honest. And another slightly concerning thing is there's probably a lot of Yakuza doing that stuff, but maybe I'm an idiot, but it intrigues me. I don't know. I have a friend, my friend and his brother owns a fishing boat in San Diego. They make a lot of money. They get tuna and stuff, I guess. And that, yeah, fishing can be a lot of money. Not like Silicon Valley programmer level money, but like half of that or something. So it's a highly physical job, and Japanese in charge. Yeah. Yeah. I like working with my hands. So um it's kind of a break because in my free time I'm doing mentally active stuff. I'm studying languages. Today I was doing a bunch of 3D animation stuff, and I'm studying mathematics in my free time all the time. So if my work is something like programming, it's it's extremely exhausting. So I prefer do stuff with my hands. It's kind of a common thing. It's not that uncommon. Some people like it, but the pay is not as good. That's for sure. Pay is not as good. There's more to life than money. It's not the only thing. Do I think in code? No. Well, I mean, if I have a programming, and actually, I was doing 3D animation uh, a bit. So if you have a problem, you think it out. what to do. If that counts, I don't know. But that's just like if you're an artist and then you go for a walk and you imagine what you're gonna draw, same kind of thing. So I did. We had an earthquake here, and my sleep schedule got completely messed up. I was gonna get a new job starting on the first, and then we had all these aftershocks, and my sleep schedule was totally messed up. So I was just working on math for months and months actually, and so I would wake up with all this math. Like most days, I would wake up with some kind of math in my head because I was doing it from morning, from when I woke up to when I slept for like 6 months, which is pretty weird, I guess, but that's what I do. I met a programmer who said that he can't help but think in code. Well, I think what they mean is they think like every decision you have could actually be broken into um, lots of dilemmas. So dilemma being two branches, right? So lots of yes, no questions. So you could have a complicated set like decision tree, break it into a series of yes and no questions, and sort of like break down logic. I think that's what they mean is like breaking things down into very concrete, logical, uh, logical things. Which I mean, that's a benefit of programming. I think it's a bit overrated, but like I think Steve Jobs said that everyone should do some programming, if nothing else, so that they learn the logical thinking side of it. I mean, I do think kids nowadays should all be taught some programming. So it is good for your brain, probably. Good for your way of thinking. Good for teaching logical thinking. But I mean, studying geometry or math in general is also good like that. Yeah, the earthquake was a bit scary. Here was if you know the Japanese system, it was Gojaku. Um, so here in Toyama, right? Yeah, yeah, it was a bit scary, and a lot of people around here have demolished their houses. But this house was actually, so that's good. The street got completely messed up though, but it's mainly fixed now. Yeah, but we had about 3 months of aftershocks at random times, and I already have trouble keeping a sleep schedule to begin with. I have to do like a lot of work to keep it going. So with the aftershocks for 3 months, it was impossible. So like at the beginning, I registered to volunteer to help out, but I realized after like 2 days, I realized my sleep schedule is complete chaos. So I just, yeah, I mean, I could do normal work and now I have no excuse. Okay. Now it's like 9 months later. But, but in those first few months, yeah, it would have been unwise to really to do anything serious because my sleep schedule is just total chaos. So I dabbled in basic programming, made a small program for converting Japanese calendar years. Oh, nice. I did do some translations related to this. Great. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember on the TV, they didn't. I don't think they had any English. Like, I'm not sure. So when the tsunami warning came, I wasn't here, uh, waiting around. We didn't need a tsunami warning. We live right by the ocean, so we knew we have to evacuate, and we evacuated immediately. But I think it was when I watched the news broadcast afterwards. I remember being surprised they didn't really have any English from what I saw. I could be wrong, but I think they probably should have some English when there's emergency announcements and stuff. But Japan will probably improve that. Maybe we'll see. I mean, it doesn't matter for me, but there's a lot of different people out there. It must be scary if somebody came here and like in their first month that they're here, there's a huge earthquake. That would be. I mean, earthquakes are scary anyway, but that would be pretty crazy. A pretty crazy experience. Evacuating um, on your first month in Japan. That would be insane. I remember hearing those announcements, siren and then the announcements. Yeah, I don't know when you were here. So I came here in like December 2011, and when I would go shopping in Tokyo, sometimes a warning would come, and these were still aftershocks from the big quake in 2011, which was obviously, of course, in March. And I imagine the epicenters were probably quite far away. So everyone's phone would go off at once with the warning of a coming earthquake. So I got used to the idea that you'd have a second or two of warning. And then I started thinking that just over the years with experience, most of my experience was that the earthquakes that were right under you, you would get no warning. So I thought to myself, if you have the warning and there's no shaking, the epicenter is probably a distance away from you. But the truth is, in a big earthquake, even though the epicenter is, 1 or 2 seconds away from you, you still need to react. So yeah, I learned this time because I think we had the warning come. We didn't jump up immediately, but there was a earthquake 4 minutes prior, so we were alert. We were debating what to do. I was arguing that we should go for a walk, but anyway, we were okay though. I was there from 2003 to 2010. Oh, okay, yeah, lucky to miss the big one, I guess, huh? I don't think Tokyo was that bad. People who were in skyscrapers, it was quite scary for them because skyscrapers shake so much. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of had it bad. I don't think anyone in Toyama died. But there was a collapsed house nearby. The roads were really screwed up. Actually, in Toyama, our local area got hit maybe the worst for Toyama. So, but yeah, yeah. My friend was in Chiba at the time, and he said it was really scary. Yeah, yeah. That was probably that was like level 5, Shindo 5, I think. So it's scary. Yeah, we were also Shindo 5 here. There's something called a Tokyo German village. Huh. Have to check that out. Tokyo German village. Interesting. Said the viewers jumped up when we were talking about earthquakes. Maybe people were interested in that. I don't know. Maybe it's random. You probably have Oktoberfest. Oh, that sounds so fun. Let me click on it and see if I can get info. Huh. Yeah, I think you're right. I'll definitely have to check that out. In Japan, they have it in May. I didn't know that. That's that's very Japanese of them, right? Very Japanese. Valentine's Day is, or sorry, Christmas is basically Valentine's Day. Yeah. It's like celebrating your birthday in like a different month, just because it was convenient. But they have the beer gardens. Those are fun, yeah, the beer gardens. I have good memories. Though I only went in like the first year or two in Tokyo. Good times, though. Father's Day in Australia is in September. Oh. When is Father's Day? Father's Day is in June, huh? Yeah, but that doesn't have the month in the name, right? The pandas. Are you talking about the like at the park, the little things you can ride? Oh. Oh, wait, hold on. I think it's been a long time since I saw one of those. I think I know what you're talking about. Uh, I don't think they have them anymore. But we do have in the playgrounds, we have little things sometimes. But I remember, I think early on when I was early on in my Japan experience, um, yeah, I remember seeing something you put some money in to ride them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You put 100 yen in. Yeah, I haven't seen those in a long time. Yeah. So I don't know if they really have them anymore. I don't think I ever they're for kids, right? Basically. I don't think I ever rode one. I should have if I'd known they were gonna disappear. It's sad, things change and like the restaurant you used to go to disappears. Things change a lot in Tokyo especially. But it's good and bad. The world changes, pandemic happens. Gotta appreciate things while while you can. I wish I had yeah, taken advantage of certain opportunities. Sometimes I had them in arcades. There was in Kawasaki, there used to be a really cool arcade place that they got rid of, unfortunately. It's so cool. But you weren't allowed to take pictures, so there wasn't a lot of stuff on social media. You think if they were starting to fail, they would change that rule. That doesn't make sense to me. But I'm just armchair judging right now. But yeah, you got to appreciate the moment. That country you like to visit, maybe you can't visit it anymore. Things change. Yeah, sensitive about photography. I think, and sometimes it's a strategy to make people want to go there, right? Which makes sense, I guess. But if my business started to fail, I would change that for sure. um, at least try. But maybe things started changing too fast or something. Who knows? Maybe their lease ran out and the owner didn't want them there. I have no idea. But yeah, it was a really cool arcade. They had some old stuff. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it because it's before my time. There used to be this old arcade that was like sort of a 3D game back before you could have them like a really old classic arcade games. You said, did you say, okay, 2003, okay. Hmm. I often wonder what Japan was like during the bubble years in the 80s, right? Late 80s. That would have been in Tokyo, that would have been nice. I actually met a person in Japan, a Dutch guy who's been here like 50 years. That was definitely the longest. And he worked as a journalist. So he has so many stories. Maybe one day I'll get him on the channel. That would be fun. He would be like the first person if I did an interview or something, or just a live hangout or something. He'd be one of the first people. He's got a lot of stories. He was in Kobe during the Kobe earthquake as well. Like right when it happened. My wife was a teen during the bubble. Okay. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stories about those years. Crazy stories. I helped a Japanese police officer once. Yeah? What, how was that? What was that about? He's attacked by a crazy American. What? That's crazy. Was he hurt? Was he injured? Older guy? Yeah, that sucks. Why would there be an American attacking people at Takao Mountain? That's like the most random. That guy, the Japanese guy's so unlucky. Broke his glasses. That's crazy. The old, the older guy was known to the area, or the crazy American? Um, I've only been there once, so I don't remember. But the crazy American. What? That's crazy. You'd think they'd deport him if he's going around attacking people. Both of them were old. Okay, maybe he had age you can permanent residency. Guy was drinking but took meds. Hmm, that's crazy. Fell asleep on private property. Oh. So when the officer woke him up, he started attacking him. I see. But this was not. This guy was famous as being sort of crazy, so this was probably not an isolated incident. Because I could understand if you were in a strange environment and woken up by somebody, you might react aggressively, at least at first, but not enough to break someone's glasses normally. But maybe I'm guessing maybe they have some mental issues. So I ran over to help, and a woman looked after my son. Mm, that's crazy. A full punch. Wow. Yeah. Huh. A lot of people. Yeah. Then the officer threw him down. Okay. Hmm. So you helped hold the guy down or something. A lot of times in these situations, um, Westerners are more likely to take some kind of action. While but that's like a West versus East thing, right? The Eastern philosophy is more about letting things happen, while the Western philosophy is more about like heroes and voting and changing things. But the guy just said F you the whole time. That's a crazy situation. I saw someone, the officer was just saying to him the whole time, my friend, my friend. Okay. He understood the guy was confused or maybe out of it or something, huh? There's one time I saw a foreigner at a bar in Tokyo who had some blood on his face or on maybe on his hand or something, I forget. But apparently he had punched somebody working in a combini and then ran away. It was very weird. Everybody was avoiding this guy, including me. It's a very weird situation. I think he drank too much and then something went a little weird. It was awesome, yeah. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, maybe it's a thing because I think some people try to escape their problems. Now, I think you can't I do believe you can change things by well, moving is one way that you can make changes in your life that can affect your behavior. They can make actual changes. But anyway, people come to Japan sometimes trying to fix their problems, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Took like 30 minutes for other officers to arrive. Wow, that's so long. That's crazy. One expat told me that Japanese society nicely dovetails with their issues. What does it mean that like it nicely fits? Oh, I think it's pretty common people who feel maybe a bit of a bit autistic or a bit if they feel socially awkward, maybe there's less expectations to be extroverted, that kind of stuff. Uh-huh. Actually, I'm not autistic. I don't think. Actually, one a nurse once thought I was autistic. Maybe I am autistic. But I don't want to be one of those people who like it's like a fad. Everyone says they're autistic. I don't think I'm autistic. Just because I'm good at math or something. I don't know. But yeah, the Japanese way of life match suits me, I guess. It's hard to explain. There's just many things where the Japanese way of doing things from like an American standpoint, for example, is strange, but it makes sense to me and sort of suits me. People would need to be diagnosed by medical, yeah, for autism. Yeah. I totally agree. People, we've got all these people watching TikTok and thinking and self-diagnosing. Exactly. Yeah, there was a nurse who thought I was autistic, but I think she was basing that. I was dating her daughter, and there were four daughters, and some of them, I don't know, like when people are in a group and everybody laughs about something, but I don't do the fake laugh. So if I don't think something's funny, I just sit there with a straight face. So I think she was judging on that because there were things that all the four daughters thought were funny, and I was just like, so. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, she actually thought I might be autistic, but eh, I don't. If I am, it's really light because I'm normal. I think I can. I don't know. You know, if you're crazy, you don't know it, maybe, right? But like I watched a clip of Rain Man the other day, and the guy from Rain Man was like, "No, I don't think I'm autistic." So maybe I'm like that. Yeah, I can do the tatemae thing, but I choose not to. Mhm. I guess tatemae and hone. Um, I mean, everyone does it to some point, to some degree, right? Like, yeah, you just have your internal mode of thinking and feelings and thoughts, and you're not necessarily going to broadcast all of that, right? But yeah, some people are really sort of really fake and fake sincerity a lot. And I'm definitely not. I'm definitely more of the person who I can't stand BS in social interactions. So, like, if I think somebody is full of BS, we're not going to get along. Um, I'm going to call it out, or I'm going to be unfriendly with that person. So I don't do the like all the office politics. Not for me. So I couldn't. I don't think I could be a CEO because you need to put up with a lot of crap. You need to be a good like people person, I think. Right, but I mean when people really go overboard with it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think Japanese people are very polite, and but that doesn't mean that's different from being like warm. Like people in Taiwan are warm with you. They might be casual with you, whereas if you're in Tokyo, people are like polite, but it's a cold politeness, isn't it? Almost like robotic and cold. It's like a distant politeness. You don't feel the warmth of Tokyo politeness. But I'm fine with that. I think so. I think a lot of people who come to Japan at first will be like, "Wow, they're so polite," and after a few years, they'll be like, "Yeah, but they're so cold." And but if I'm just interacting with strangers at the convenience store or whatever, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. There was a very polite izakaya owner, and the food there was incredible. One of my favorite places in Hachioji. Great sake too. Let me grab ice. Continue with your story. He's always polite. Business is a bit hard because you never know. With with a business, it's very hard to know if someone is really being your friend or it's just their job, right? That's just the way it goes. It's hard to avoid that. But then I started talking about how I wanted to move back to the US. He suddenly said, "Yes, I think you should." Foreigners really, oof, that's yeah, that's intense. That is intense. There was this homeless guy. I tried to help a bit, which having more experience, I don't know if I'd recommend to a friend, but anyway, I was trying to help this guy. And what was it? Well, so his situation was very tricky. He was an old man, and I think he never really like fully explained everything to me, but I think was he must have been Korean during the Korean War, like growing up in Korea during the Korean War, and somehow escaped or was a refugee to Japan. And I think a woman, took him under his wing or something. I don't know exactly. But so I believe he didn't have Japanese nationality, but he had some kind of status where he was able to get welfare. It was complicated. But he never, like, he was always a little not giving me the full story, so it was a little weird. And what was the point of this story? We're talking about something. Oh, right, right, right. He really thought that it's funny because he struck me as pretty like a left wing kind of person, but then he was trying to be a writer, but then he sort of communicated that he didn't really believe in interracial marriage or interracial relationships, which is a very common way for Koreans to think. Um, yeah, but it didn't shock me. He was not rude in how he expressed that to me. But he said, you should go back and marry within your own race or something. Very old school, very old school. I was going there for years. Yeah, that must have been a shock. That must have been a shock. He knew my mother-in-law deeply. Yeah. I don't think I've had an experience as shocking as that, as what you described. There's one in Ueno Park that walks up to people and says, "That's not right for you to be together." Wow. I've never even heard of that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Is that guy Japanese? Hmm. Yeah, a homeless Korean. Wow. He might be the guy that I tried to help. I wouldn't be surprised. It might be that guy because he would, at the time that I knew him, he wouldn't. I don't think he was doing that, but he would talk to strangers a lot. So if his state of mind sort of deteriorated further, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Yeah, this guy, I don't know if he's alive. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not alive anymore. Yeah. It could have been the guy. It really could have. There's not that many homeless people in Tokyo, so yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was a weird situation with this guy. He was trying to be a writer. He had been in America for a while and at like a community college or something, and the professor had told him that his writing was so good that he should be a writer, an author. Well, he should write books, novels, and all that. But his writing had grammatical errors all over the place. He would write in English. I tried to convince him that he should write in Korean or Japanese. But the thing is, I don't think because of his situation, I think he didn't have a language that he was fully native level at. I think he left Korea quite early, so he wasn't, I don't know what his Korean level was like. Um, but his Japanese was almost native, I think, but he couldn't read kanji, so it was so weird. I felt bad for him, but it's like there's some weird you just can't waste all your time trying to help them, unfortunately. So I had to cut it off at some point. I had more Korean girlfriends than Japanese. It must be horrible when you aren't really native in anything. Yeah, but a lot of some of the half Fu people that I've met um were not 100% in either of the languages. Um, and I thought if I have a child here, I would probably have them emphasize Japanese. Because I remember, back when I was in high school, I learned a lot in terms of, well, you do a lot of writing assignments, you read a lot, you interact with people a lot. So your skill is increasing. And had I gone to college in America, and done writing assignments and interacted with people, um, and if I had stayed in America, my English would be better. I mean, I'm a native speaker, but I'm sure I would have better ways of communicating sometimes, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't, I'm sure there's definitely got to be lots of people who are like 100% in English and Japanese. I haven't met one yet, I don't think. Definitely, I mean, more or less native, basically native level in both languages I've met, but then like randomly they won't know a word where it's like, wait, it's surprising, Um, that'll just happen. but I think it's mainly a function of, for them, it's mainly a function like if wherever they spent their middle school and high school years, if that was in Japan, then their English is going to be a little bit weaker. It's going to be native level, but they unless they put in like a really serious effort, there might be moments where you're kind of surprised that they didn't know some word or who knows something. I mean, but I've been away from America for the better part of 13 years, so there's lots of stuff going on that I don't know about. All the lingo that the youngins are using, the young kids, they have all their slang. I don't know if that counts really, but that's also a generational thing. But my son is native sounding, but there's certain vocabulary words that he simply doesn't know. They would have to try to make up for that through Independence Day. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Um, and like there was one guy I met who um he was raised in America, but had learned, but his Japanese was basically native. But then randomly we were all talking in a big group, and um, somebody used the word koibito, and he said, "What's koibito?" And we're like, "What? You don't know that word?" We were just surprised. But like, there's many thousands of words. And this is what happens with language learning. There's all these thousands of words, so there's always going to be like one little pocket where you're surprisingly bad at, or just one random word where it's like you should have known that years ago, but for some reason you just didn't learn that. So that was really surprising because his Japanese was basically native, but then he didn't know the word koibito. I knew that word like after being in Japan for like 2 years. So, but I think these random things just happen sometimes. Yeah, I sometimes pick up new slang from live streams. It's hard to believe he didn't know. Yeah, yeah. Well, koibito. Maybe his parents never. Actually, so he was raised by his grandparents. But yeah, these things just happen. Trying to think. Yeah. Like I'm just trying to think. I don't remember the word for zebra. There's certain words like there's words that you think of as kid words, like the word for giraffe, for example, or zebra, or what else? These words that a kid would learn because kids like animals, so it's in all the children's books. But then like in your daily life, how often do you talk about a zebra, right? You know the kanji for it. So is that the kanji for zebra? I'm really impressed if you know that. So you don't say zebra, right? Like I don't know the word, but the computer does. Okay, but you don't need. How often in Japan am I really talking about a zebra? Like the only time would be if it's on TV, right? A kidding is giraffe. Oh, that's kidding. Okay, interesting. Well, I've never seen the kanji for kidding. Um, okay, but giraffe or elephant, like I don't know why, but I'll never forget those words. But zebra is something uma, isn't it? I'll look it up. Shima uma. Okay, that's right, Shima uma. So I don't know why it's called that, but anyway, I was just trying to think of a word where, yeah, there's going to be little words where you can actually surprisingly go like 5 years easily without using the word. You know what I mean? So the word koibito, yeah, you could go a year or two without the word koibito, but it was really surprising that he didn't know that word. But I forget words sometimes. There's a word I forgot today that I had to look up. And I was uh, personally embarrassed because nobody was around me, but I can't remember the word. But that happens. There's a way. So what's the way to not forget it? Shima Uma. If someone asks me to say words, my brain will just output like hi ie domo. Oh, I know what you mean. Like somebody says, "Hey, speak Japanese." If somebody asks me that in French, I'll say in French, "What do you want me to say in French?" or something like that. But I've mentally prepared for that moment because that's something that always happens, right? Like, oh, you speak Japanese, say something in Japanese, go. So you kind of have to like prepare for it. Hey, Wolf, how's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah. Actually, I was studying some math in Japanese, and so I started like thinking in my head how to explain difficult mathematical things in Japanese. So but it'll be a little cringe to say some extremely complicated thing. We could think Uma for horse. But Shima, I think, so it's basically island horse, right? I don't know. Just gotta remember it. You doing good, Wolf? Good. Wait, Wolf? I'm sorry, my memory is horrible. You're from Hong Kong, right? But you live in Japan? Or seahorses on the island? I don't do the visual, like that's a technique, right? Where you come up with some visualization first. I don't do that, but maybe that's why I forget words so much. I don't know. It's funny because when I was scuba diving, I saw a huge seahorse like this, um, big one, completely black, kind of beautiful. And I was scuba diving with my dad and some friends, and if you saw something cool, you would bang on your tank. You had some clip, and I banged a little bit, but they didn't hear me. They just kept on going. And then after the dive is over, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I saw a seahorse. You guys missed it." And my dad was like, my dad had never, he's done like hundreds of dives, and I guess he's never seen a seahorse. So he's like, "What the hell? Why didn't you say so? Why didn't you bang on your tank?" I'm like, "I did. You guys just didn't hear it." What I do is allow myself to forget because I don't want to learn. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Well, there's, I mean, you can differentiate between I did pad eye. I don't know what that other one is. You can differentiate between input and output, right? Because now if I see Shima Uma for the next few years, hopefully I'll recognize it. But in terms of output, I don't know. I mean, it's possible to be really good at understanding a language and terrible at output. Like I'm that way with Spanish. I'm not really good at understanding it, but I generally understand it and I cannot speak it at all, basically. So they're just different skills. But you never fully learn a language, right? And well, or at least it's a never-ending quest in a way. There's always more to learn. We got scuba divers in the house, huh? It's been at least like 15 years since I went scuba diving. So I would probably redo the whole certification if I wanted to go. NAUI. What is NAUI? NAUI is just another certification, huh? Yeah. Scuba diving was fun, but without pressure from someone like my dad, um, it's not worth the work for me because you gotta rent all this stuff, the tanks and everything. You gotta go somewhere. You gotta put on the equipment. And then it's, I mean, it's definitely better than snorkeling, right? You get to go down there. That's cool. There's also the risk, right? There's some risk. So maybe when I'm older, especially like only going down like 30 feet, so it's not too risky because I've just heard some some bad stories. My dad told me a lot of bad stories of people getting injured scuba diving. Actually, one guy died as well. But I think these were like these were like friends of friends, you know. And another friend of a friend, maybe a friend of his or a friend of a friend died on a motorcycle. So he tells me all these stories, so it makes me like, actually, I really want to get a motorcycle, but I just accept the risk. Nobody lives forever. It was tiring carrying the equipment. Yeah. Yeah, and then you're wearing the fins and it's so awkward. You walk backwards, right? Uh it's so awkward. It's sort of comical how awkward it is. Hardest part of diving is putting on the wetsuit. I never put on a wetsuit. We were in the Caribbean in the summer, I think. So uh actually no. No, I've put on a wetsuit. What am I saying? The wetsuit is okay, but it's just the whole thing. The wetsuit, the tank, the weights, right? The weight belt, the buoyancy thing, the buoyancy vest or whatever it's called. It's a lot of stuff. And then clearing the mask when you're down there is like you spit in the mask and then you clear it and blah blah blah. There's just a lot of stuff. Um, I very much understand it as a hobby, but without some kind of external pressure, I don't think I'm doing it. Unless you're planning on going next year. Oh, really? Oh, nice, 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 nice. Was that in Japan that you went? The BC, the buoyancy compensator. Okay. Yeah. You almost feel like you're suiting up to to go into outer space or something, a little bit. That actually that's kind of nice. Maybe that's the people who have it as a hobby, they probably enjoy that a lot actually. All the suiting up. Um I don't enjoy that. That it's like I 20% enjoy it and 80% it's just a hassle. In Thailand. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Nassau. Okay. Nassau? That sounds like Japan, but is it? Where's that? I have Google right here. I'll just Nassau. Bahamas. Nice. I've never been to the Bahamas. So we went to Bonaire, which is like above Venezuela. There's the ABC Islands. I forget what the A is, but the C is Curacao. That's the biggest one, and the B is Bonaire. Used to be a Dutch colony. And that's other than my training, which was in Southern California. Um, that's the only scuba diving I've done. A couple of trips to Bonaire. Ended up with a hernia from it. Oh, jeez. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of equipment. Yeah, Indonesia, Philippines. I enjoy traveling. Boracay would be nice. I don't know about scuba diving, but I'd like to visit there next time I'm in the Philippines. What is a hernia? I used to know what a hernia is. This is what I mean exactly. Like having this is a perfect example of having been away from America for 13 years. I bet you if I lived in America, I would be able to explain immediately what a hernia is. A hernia occurs when an internal part of the body pushes through a weakness in the muscle or surrounding tissue wall. I read that, but I'm still not super clear. Something's wrong. It's like part of your body pushing against another part. Not a fan of sharks. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably pretty rare, right? To get attacked. It's one of those things that, and I feel the same way, but it's probably one of those things where it's better to not try not to think about it. Like when you're in an airplane, just it's not worth thinking about what could happen, right? um, do I want to be a large streamer someday? Um, hmm. I mean, up until like I just started doing these streams really recently, and up until that, the answer is definitely no. But I don't mind this stream, this kind of stream. I just put the phone in front of me, just chat. It's been nice chatting with people. If that makes me into a big streamer, then sure, that's okay. But usually when I watch streamers and see what they're doing, I don't think like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, making money from stuff that you enjoy, that's who doesn't like that, right? That's nice. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, these are fun. And I mean, the funny thing is, like, I can put work into doing stuff on YouTube, but like, just doing this actually is getting me a lot more subscribers. So it's like, you know, instead of making a bunch of doing a bunch of effort to make videos, I can just do this and have some fun and chill. Right now, but things change. Like if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm sure that things are going to be different. But maybe it'll be the same. Who knows? Who knows? But right now it's fun. It's nice. Enjoying it. There's a few other reasons why I'm doing YouTube as well. Like I've always played music, so doing some piano stuff and math. The thing is with math and physics, and the thing is actually what I'm doing is well suited for YouTube because I don't have a degree. I don't have a degree, but I've done so much math and physics that I know a lot more than I don't want to sound arrogant, but I've been studying math and physics a lot for like the last 12 years. And I know a lot more than most people with a degree, with a a normal bachelor's degree. And to be honest, I'm doing graduate level or like PhD research level stuff, and I'd like to share some of the stuff. Um, YouTube seems like a nice place because if I make a mistake, somebody will correct me. I'm not going to hopefully get my head chopped off for making a mistake or two because it's YouTube, it's more relaxed. Some of the stuff I've done, I maybe could write a paper, of course, as an amateur, but sometimes amateurs write papers. So I could do that, but it's a lot of effort. And actually, there's been a few things that I could write papers on, but I have to do a lot of legwork to figure out if anybody has come up with the exact same stuff before. and I need to go to the library. The library's a little far away, a lot of work to do, and it's not gonna pay the bills. So what is a goal I've set? My like with YouTube, my goals are more for, let's see, it's not like for the year. Um, I don't really think that way so much. I think more like, what I'm doing now, am I doing better than how I was a month ago or even just 2 weeks ago? Now, being like 1% better, okay, that's not good enough, right? But I think with YouTube, the goal, or sorry, I'm probably growing like 20 or 30% per month, and that's fine. If that were a stock, well, that won't last forever. That can't possibly last forever. But as long as I'm growing by 20 or 30% a month, I should continue for a while, see what happens. At some point, that will taper off, and then I'll have to decide, what do I do at that point, right? 20 or 30% a month. Yeah. And actually, if I start doing these streams every day, it's going to be faster than that, probably. But I think for people who put in serious effort towards YouTube, it's somewhat common that you can grow fairly rapidly. I mean, if you're putting in effort every day and your channel is still young, then growing by 20 or 30% per month um, is normal, I think. Hopefully. Do you know Tokyo Lens? Ah, that rings a bell. Why does that ring a bell? Tokyo Lens. Is that okay, that's a YouTuber. Right. Hold on, let me see. Tokyo Lens. I've definitely not watched much of his content. I'm not sure why it rang a bell. I've probably just seen a few random bits. Yeah. Do you like their content? We went psycho on me, or I'm guessing he went psycho on you. Thought it was strange. Turns out he's done it to me. YouTubers do that sometimes. There's this guy, maybe some people know his channel. It's called Professor Dave. Professor Dave goes psycho on people, man. So he does math, science, all kinds of math and science content. Professor Dave explains. He has 3.36 million subscribers. This guy goes psycho on people. But how did he go psycho on you? Can you tell the story? Because in his last video, he is misrepresenting his Japanese abilities. You know what happens a lot? Like, it happens more and more where people are making a lot of content about Japan, especially like a lot of shorts, and they'll take something that in almost 15 years in Japan I've never even seen once, right? And they'll say in Japan blah 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 happens, and they'll present it like this is the normal way they do things in Japan, because there's this huge market for like people who are outside of Japan view Japan as this mysterious country, which it kind of, to be fair, it's a mysterious country and it's cool and all that stuff. It's great. And so they'll hunt for like the weirdest thing they can possibly find in Japan and then turn that into content, right? And it's like I mean, some of them are okay, but some of them take something that is almost never happens. It's like the most, it's extremely unusual, and they'll just present it as if this is how things are done in Japan. And I find that extremely annoying. That's gonna happen, right? It's just the way it goes. Oriental Pearl. I don't know. Okay, I'm curious if this is who I think it is. So I don't know the name, but there's one person. Is this the person I'm thinking of? Let me see here. Hold on. Niwatori Chicken-san, hello. Okaeri nasai. Yeah. Oriental Pearl, I don't know. Does she do the same kind of stuff? Yeah, I don't know her. There's someone else, also a blonde girl, who her content goes viral a lot, and I feel like every day she's like, "Oh, what can I do for content today? I'll find the weirdest crap in Japan ever, and I'll do that." Like a rental kareshi. Yeah, it's like that exists. I've never seen somebody do that, but whatever. I don't know. Exoticism for the weaves. Yeah. Mikyo. I don't know Mikyo. 大丈夫大丈夫だよ。大丈夫今なんか日本の、なんていう、なんかインフルエンサーとか YouTuber とかが最近なんか日本の一番おかしい、一番すごい珍しくておかしいところを見つけて、それを取って、なんかコンテンツ作って、あ、これが日本だよみたいなコンテンツを作ってるという話、今しています。で、それ見て、まあ、嫌ですね、みたいな。みたいなことです。Though again today on the train, some old guy was flirting with a schoolgirl. That's gonna happen. Yeah, that's every day. But they misrepresent their language abilities because they know that the weaves can't. Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely gonna happen. Um, yeah, I mean, if you can speak, well, if you can maintain conversation, then for most circumstances, let's say outside of like if you're doing office work, like if you could date someone, you can do most of what you need to do if you can generally talk with people. But actually, in terms of learning, let's say from that point to getting to native level where you know 20,000 or 40,000 words, whatever a native typically knows, like most of the work actually is ahead of you, which is kind of depressing. But what I'm saying is like with 2,000 words, you can probably get by in most of your daily life in Japan. But you only know 10% of what a native knows at that point. Suge, suge. 日本の悪いところをみんなに見せてること。まあ、悪いところもあるし、ね。まあでも、いいところも同じように、なんか、例えば、what was it? There was something weird about like how the kids cross the street. I forget what it was, but there was something using some kind of advanced technology to help kids cross the street or something. I forget. It's like that clearly is Japan in the video, but I've never seen it. So they're presenting it. They're saying this is how it's done in Japan. That's what they're saying. So it's just misrepresenting the situation. So they do that with bad points about Japan, and they do it with anything that is out of the ordinary, basically. Polyglots do it too. Oh yeah, I've been at it for decades. It's really a never-ending process. I totally agree. Never ending. Yep. And I mean, yeah, I mean, with English, I study a lot of math. So actually, I mean, studying a field is partly you're studying a language. If you study math or physics, a part of it is that it's a language in and of itself. Now, mathematics is more than just a language. There's also sort of mechanics going on, but it's also a language. So yeah. So and the thing is that if I set out to study mathematics, advanced mathematics in Japanese, the weird thing is when I meet Japanese people who study advanced mathematics, they are studying it in English, right? So recently, when I want to improve my Japanese, I'm actually studying um, like the licenses to become an accountant or a lawyer, even though I don't think I would do that if I ever become a licensed accountant in Japan. That's very far from now. That would be definitely many years from now. In fact, I think the test usually it's only like 10% of people who pass the test or something. So it's totally crazy. But but studying that to me is more interesting than studying just studying Japanese directly for some reason. And if I try to study math in Japanese, like I said, it just goes back to English, so it's a little strange. But 手挙げる. Hmm. Yes. So it is a never-ending process. Um, I sometimes watch videos in Japanese on science, quantum computing. Oh, you're interested in that stuff. That's cool. It's hard, but what I find harder than that is studying Japanese history. Oh yeah, history is really hard. I did a translation job one day that was about sort of the feudal period. I put that in quotes just because I guess like in the 60s and 70s, up till then, they didn't necessarily call it the feudal period of Japan, but now for maybe the last 50 years, they just say, okay, Japan had feudalism, whatever. But anyway, yeah, when you study when you study like the daimyo and all that stuff, there's all kinds of words that don't necessarily have a counterpart. Even like shogun, I guess you could say military general, right? Um, but yeah, you have all kinds of words that don't necessarily correspond to anything um, in English. It's yeah, history is really hard. That's very hard. But that is a good subject to study if you want to improve. If you're at an advanced level and you want to improve. I try to say no to all historical stuff like translation. Oh, yeah, I feel you on that. We get a lot of jobs for like lately. So lately, because I think because of machine translation, I think that people aren't submitting easy work so much anymore. So I've noticed the work that's coming in seems to be harder than usual. So we get like, and so I'm accepted as a normal translator, but also a pro level translator, whatever. And there'll be like little excerpts of, yeah, I think it's for a museum exhibit, a museum exhibit. And like, the art has a little, is it called an excerpt or a blurb? A little description of the art, whatever that's called. And translating that, whew, oh, that's painful. That is so painful, man. No, that's like I would rather clean a toilet than do that, and that's horrible. It's the most painful thing ever, man. I mean, I prefer to think about the hardest math I can find. That's just the worst, honestly. That is the worst. Um, but yeah, when I translated the historical thing, it was sort of like an article, not a news article. I think it was on a website, a few pages or something. And it was a lot of work, and it was the first time I did something like that. but I really enjoyed it. Sometimes it's really fun to. That's actually a really nice thing about translation is you can be exposed to all kinds of things, all kinds of random things that you wouldn't normally. It's it's sort of weird like that sometimes. Like there'll be a random business email, right? So it's like you're jumping into the middle of a scenario or yeah, history, engineering stuff, all kinds of random stuff, right? Some sword museum exhibit in Gifu. So I bet yeah, I can understand why you try to avoid that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, when I did the fashion stuff in French, at first it was tough, but because I was focusing on one thing, it became um it became really good. But the thing, yeah, with Japanese, I'm just trying to imagine if you focused only on history, it takes so much longer for that um to become what's the word? Second nature, for it to become really just easy work. And it's so weird because I'm not interested in fashion at all. I'm terrible with it, as you can probably tell. But after 2 months of doing translation, French to English, like all the different on purses, there's all kinds of different clasps, and different kinds of zippers and just all this, all the different materials like patinette, leather, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I momentarily, for a few months, became an expert in all this, what to me is pretty obscure French fashion stuff. But that kind of thing has never happened to me with Japanese. And I kind of hate translation work, to be honest, in Japanese, but I just think maybe if I could focus on a niche, might be able to get it somehow. It's your kitchen. Yep. Kitchen desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. But I don't know. Focusing on something like history. I'm interested in physics, so maybe I could do physics. Like you're talking about quantum computing. I study that sometimes. And it's been a good 12 years or something that has been it's been a hobby, but I've spent in the last couple of years probably a year full-time work of I don't know if you'd say studying or researching, I don't know, working on physics and math. So I don't know if that just makes me some kind of nerd. Maybe it'll be useful on YouTube, but well, it's pretty interesting in its own right, but you have to get really deep into the details. Better than starving. Mm, yeah, better than starving. And I'm not paying rent. This is my wife's a house that she grew up in. So that helps make things a little easier, not paying rent. Um, I probably have to return to reality sometime soon, get a job, be a normal person. Also, this year, because we had this huge earthquake, my mom sent me a bunch of money. Not $1 million or something, but sent some money. So I gotta make things work soon. But I'm okay for a bit. No rent, eating pasta, saving money. But I like this kind of lifestyle. I guess not really like a monk or something, but I like the idea of taking time trying to cut down. I don't want to say as much as possible. Cut down a lot of stuff. You don't want to take it to the extreme. Um, When I was in Taiwan, I tried being vegetarian for a while to save money. I just can't do it. I reached a limit. And even like the thought of eating a vegetarian meal makes me angry. I know that that's pathetic. And I was a vegetarian when I was like 18 or so, but I can't do it. I cannot. Even though it would save a lot of money. And not drinking alcohol, not drinking coffee would save a lot of money. So I draw the line there. I can't stop those things. But yep. Anyway, I don't know. I might wrap it up soon. Cannot stream forever. What time is it? Oh, it's not even 10 o'clock here. You gotta get some sleep. Yeah. This was fun. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. Have a good sleep. That's weird. It's nighttime here. Must be really late over there. Wait. Time in California. Yeah, I know you're in Oregon. But, yeah, you need to get to bed. It's almost 6 there. Actually, we'll go to bed soon. But it was good talking to you. Have a good one. Sleep well. Bye, everybody. Thanks. It's fun. I always wait at the end because it takes some time to go through. Bye bye. Thank you. See ya.